All right. Right, we are back from closed session, reconvening to open session. City Attorney, do we have any business to report tonight?
You do. You had one liability claim by Fernando Santillan, and the city council by a 4-0 vote with Councilman Trujillo absent rejected that claim.
With that, we will adjourn our closed session and we will reopen as our Selma City Council regular meeting. It's November 4th, 2025. It is 6:12 p.m. I want to thank everybody for staying here tonight. Sorry for the delay. We had a little extra long closed session, some business to take care of. We are in the Selma City Council chambers at 1710 Tucker Street, Selma, California, 93662. The teleconference phone number is 301-715-8592. The webinar ID is 891-6864-5005. When on the phone, if you wish to address the council during the public comment portion of the agenda, press *9 to raise your hand, and we will select you from the meeting queue. Press *6 to unmute and mute yourself. City Attorney, do we have Councilman Trujillo on the Zoom for the open session for the regular meeting?
No, sir. Councilman Trio is not in attendance.
With that, I will not announce his location since he is not attending. Notice to meeting attendees, members of the audience shall not engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the utterance of threatening or abusive language or other acts which disturb, disrupt, or impede or otherwise render the orderly conduct of a city council meeting infeasible. Tonight's invocation is by Pastor Lisa Satterberg of the Take It by Force Church. Welcome, Pastor.
Let us pray. Father, we give you glory, praise, and honor. We thank you, Lord God Almighty, for who you are and all that you do. You are perfect in everything that you do. We thank you for establishing the city of Selma. You are the one that establishes, sets up leaders. And so we thank you tonight for the gathering of the leaders of this city. We thank you for this city. We thank you for your blessing upon this city. We ask that you would bring forth unity, that you would bring forth peace, and that you would bring forth wisdom and strategic planning, Lord, as they advance the movement for this city, that your name will be glorified through all of it. We thank you for your presence. Let your name be glorified through all that we do. Lord, in this city, we do pray and we give you glory and praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Avalos.
Here.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Here.
Mayor Robertson.
Here. Potential conflicts of interest. Any council member who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item, recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Agenda changes or deletions to better accommodate members of the public or inconvenience in the order of presentation. Items on the agenda may not be presented or acted on in the order listed. Additions to the agenda may be added only pursuant to California Government Code, Section 54954.2b. City Attorney, do we have any such changes or deletions tonight? Thank you, City Attorney. With that, we'll move on to oral communications. At this time, any member of the public may address the City Council regarding any item on the regular meeting agenda over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public should limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have any oral communications at this time? Have anybody on the phone or on Zoom with any comments?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. With that, we'll bring the matter back to the council and move on to special presentations. Our first special presentation is a presentation by Valley Regional Occupational Program Superintendent Fabrizio Lafaro. Welcome. Come on up.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to jump before Superintendent gets to speak. Tonight it's my privilege and honor to be able to introduce to you a friend and a colleague, Superintendent Fabrizio Lafaro. We've had a long-standing relationship, and when I worked for the city of Dinuba, we were able to work on some significant projects there, and he's just truly a champion for our youth and getting them involved in the career paths that are so important to keeping our communities safe. And so I enjoy the relationship that we have, and just really honored to be able to be a partner of his in all of the good work that he does for our youth, and wanted to welcome him tonight to City Council to be able to present to you.
Thank you. Really want to come here, first of all, to thank the city and you for all the collaboration that we've been doing for so many years. I think we did a presentation many, many years ago, and I just kind of wanted to come back and show you what the good work that our teachers, our students with the Selma Unified School District, the city, Chief Webster and the fire department, what we do and how we again, my name is Fabrizio Faro. I'm the superintendent for Valley ROP. We are a ROP program. We've been working with, we're a public school district. Selma Unified is one of our school districts that's part of Valley ROP. About 19 different pathways at Selma High School. We have pathway at the middle school at Abraham Lincoln, and we really are passionate about training students. The fire program started with a grant about 15 years ago. It was a FEMA grant, and the city of Selma and the fire department joined into this grant. And we started 15 years ago with about 12 students. And this year we have about 125 students in this program, just in the urban rural class. Plus we have a wildland firefighting program. If we combine the two programs, we have almost about 170 students in this program. These are high school students that want to be in programs to serve, to learn about firefighting, and to learn about this career. And at this point, what I like to do is pass on to Cynthia Severo. She's our coordinator. She worked with Selma Unified, and then she's going to. Thank you very much.
My name is Cynthia Severo. Here for Valley ROP. A little bit about Valley ROP. Like we said, we serve many different districts, 7 total with our JPA. We're located in Wheatley, so we're centralized so that we can serve the community. So I'd like to introduce at this time our Selma fire instructor, Mr. Larry Roberts.
Good evening. My name is Larry Roberts. I'm the teacher for Valley ROP for the Urban Rural Fire class here at Selma High School. Class for I think now 13 years. I'm retired from Dinuba Fire Department. I was the assistant fire. And so it's been a while since I've retired. And I've worked with Chief Webster, Chief owner here for quite a few years now. A lot of Saturdays with them. They provided personnel that's helped train our students in. They giving you a little bit of background information about our class. Our class is composed of juniors and seniors in high school. And we try to put our students through the urban fire class first as juniors and then send them on the wildland program the following year. But sometimes I get both juniors and seniors class. And we some of them have even taken my class as urban rural fire class and the wildland class at the same time. Tickets from both classes. So why the partnership? Our partnership, like I said, fire department, and trying to show our students what's out there, what our program can do to make them future firefighters. Firefighters can be without having a college degree. college degree is always good, but it's a vocation that we can send students. Recognize a lot of times that firefighting jobs are around the $70,000 to $80,000 a year jobs, just coming out of high school within very short fire academy and P. Had students that's gone through this program and the wildland program are currently working. That we have for our high school classes, juniors, as they finish up. They are have come to work fire department as fire interns. They work 3 hours the first week, riding on the engine, the second 40 hours the following week, ambulance. And to get to that point, Chief Bullner comes in and interviews students and rates them on their answers, how they compose themselves, and how they do things, just like being interviewed for a job. And that's been really good because we every year so far working 80 hours for being paid. The other thing that we do is that Reedley College and Fresno City College, what we have is a program called with dual enrollment. That way, if they take my class for the fall semester, which medical responder, they get college credit under an EMT prep program, 4 units of college credit. Second semester, they take fire technology, and that fire technology gives them and the fire technology is a prerequisite to get into the college, fire academy, along with having CPR and also going through the EMT class and getting certified, passing national registry. Once they have their license, that gives them the 3 things that they need to minimum fire academy. The a few success stories. So success stories is one of them sitting here now is Donovan. Donovan Fulner was he didn't go through our urban rural fire class, but he was in the wildland class. And summer working, he come back a few years later, worked with us as a teacher, battalion chief now, and he's really good with. And he's still young enough that if they're doing push-ups, and that helped me a lot to have him be there.
Can we see that, Chief? No, I'm just kidding.
Just tell you to knock out 50. Then second student is Guillermo Cruz Gonzalez. He was in my 2014-15 class, and Guillermo was one of those students that went through my class. He went through the wildland class. He wasn't quite 18 yet when he finished the wildland class up. They liked him so well that they started him as a person that couldn't be on the fire line until he turned 18. And then they put him straight out there, and he was a Solomon out there with the wildland class. Came back, finished the fire academy. He's a paramedic, and he's council in Reedley. He's been there, paramedic, and I'm always trying to encourage him to come apply for a firefighter position. Like him so well, they keep trying. Another student, Andrew Rico. Andrew Rico was a 2017-18 student, and he worked part-time with the ones that you never think are going to go there. He did. He finished the fire academy, he finished paramedic, and he worked part-time for Selma Fire, but now he's working very city fire department as a firefighter paramedic, and been over a year. So he's going. Then I had 2 or 3 other ones: Brianna Hernandez, Nicholas Sandoval, and Aaron Martinez. A little bit of note about Aaron. Aaron last year finished the wildland class, and before graduation, he got a job and left before graduation to walk on campus because he wanted to go. Asked about getting a job. So those are the students that we want to promote and to move on into the fire service. This week, this Friday, we're going to Abraham Lincoln Middle School. We're gonna have our fire trailer there. We're gonna have students there. They're gonna take the seventh and eighth graders through the trailer, through the smoke trailer, have them go in and put simulated fires out, have them do a rescue, go out and do some other activities, and that's to get them already started at the seventh and eighth grade firefighters. Even though they have a little bit of weight by the time they get to high school, they already have that in their mind to think about what I would like to do in the future, and that's already a start in the program with us. Our high school classes, we offer CPR. We focus on structure firefighting. On the 15th this month, we're going to go to Dinuba, have 170 something students there. They're going to be exposed to live fire training. They're going to rescue, they're going to go through the smoke trailer. We have an all-day affair that we have all these students together and working as teams and being taught on how to be firefighters. And someday that's what we hope that they become. EMT classes are available through ROP, and I read through your agenda tonight, looking at an EMT through that. And that would be a good thing too. Instructors there to help you along. As I said earlier, as we finish up the urban rural fire class, the wildland class is the next progression to go to Reedley College. This year and last year, we've had over 80 students from all the classes wanting to take a wildland class. And normally a class size is around 30 students, and we got 80 students. And this year we had to break that program into 2 classes. So then telling the students that we didn't need them. And now they're at least getting wildland firefighters. So our program is there for you guys and for the partnerships that are out there to train our students to become future firefighters and have in high school firefighter or any.
Thanks, Mr. Roberts.
Just graduated last year.
I like to say having me here feels like a real opportunity to have that not a lot of students get. And I can only thank Valley ROP. Last summer, my wildland class, I got an intern. I got to do part-time on working with EMTs. I wouldn't have had that opportunity without. I also was able to have that same opportunity with I took my junior, got to work alongside. So these classes have both provided me in so many. I think, oh, it's
Awesome. Congratulations and really good work. Yeah, you guys. Great. Hopefully it's not his last. You can chase him.
DJ's here.
All right, way to go. Great family support.
Once again, thank you very much for letting us present. And like when we started with the grant, the goal was to grow on your own. And this is what exactly what our purpose is. Grow students from Selma High School that want to become firefighters and keep them here in Selma. That's going to be the success. know what the city needs, and, so, thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much for
Yeah.
coming out tonight. Any questions for Fabrizio or?
I would just like to say thank you for everything you do. I mean, the Valley ROP means so much, and I'm so thankful that our schools here have that partnership because I'm born and raised here in Selma, and going through an ROP class really, it opened my eyes to show me what kind of career I wanted to go into. So I want to thank you all and thank our city, our partnership, our schools to continue because this is very, very important for our students. So thank you.
And on the other note, I see you expanded your operation, but you know what? But it's a good thing. You know, people live in the valley and they need opportunities, and you open these doors for these young people to create these opportunities in our society, you know, and I applaud you for that because, and we need in our society, we need plumbers, electricians, firefighters, paramedics. We need these people in our society to keep the wheel turning. And I thank you for creating these opportunities for the young generation. Thank you. Because they're the future. We got to take care of the future. I thank you.
Much again.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. Well, I'm sure we'll see you again. And hope to see you guys back as Selma firefighters someday,
That's
okay?
right.
Come on back.
Yeah.
Come back to city council as well. All right, that will move on to our next special presentation, which is a community development quarterly update by Deputy City Manager Jerome King. Deputy City Manager, just because we have a packed agenda, can we limit the report tonight to new and current projects?
That was the plan.
Great.
Yeah, I agree there.
Thank you.
I looked at it.
That was my plan.
Excellent.
All right.
I also forwarded this out to council. If you had questions on current projects, you could always reach out to community development on existing projects. And that was kind of the premise behind breaking them out as we do so that you're aware of new projects and where existing projects that have been previously brought before your council, where they're at in the process. And if you have questions regarding those, you can always reach out. So
Thank you.
we'll start with proposed track 6536, which is directly adjacent to another project that has been in process, the Lavinia subdivision. It is a subdivision that a single family subdivision that is currently going through the PDR process. And we're reviewing that and providing draft conditions of approval. It's about 16 acres of considerably larger lots than have been proposed in other subdivisions. I apologize, we don't have the exact number of lots in the presentation. I will get that to you guys, but I believe it is about between 60 and 80 lots. We have on the corner of Highland and Woolham's north of Dutch Bros, we have a proposed site plan review. They previously included area for an additional building pad area as part of the development of that site. So they're proposing a shell building that could be a multiple tenant, but they're just doing the shell building for now for a future tenant lease at that location. So we're just getting together and again, that's going through review for draft conditions of approval as well.
So Jerome, you said this was next to
North of
Dutchboro?
Dutch Bros. Next slide, please. Just down the street, east on Floral, right at the off-ramp from Highway 99, you have a renovation of the existing gas station where they're proposing to relocate the car wash and remove it completely and put in a convenience store in its place. And so that is also going through the process, being deemed complete, and it will shortly be routed to departments for conditions for subsequent permitting. And then this was done, I think, before the prior council meeting as well, but we kept it on there, the northern annexation area, which was approved by the city council at the second meeting in October, which is going to LAFCO for consideration of final annexation. So that completes the new projects that have been added to the presentation. Yes.
Question, Deputy City Manager, on the North Selma annexation,
Yes.
the the parcel at 10013 South McCall, which is, I think, the,
Southwest corner?
yeah, southwest corner. It's less than an acre, and yet it's zoned for, was it C1? Should it be C3? Would that be more appropriate, given the dimensions of the lot? Is that a possibility?
It's a possibility. There would still be a process to go through that to consider that application and compare it to the policies of the general plan, go through the changes from a C1 to a C3 zone and determine if it has additional traffic obligations, what type of dedications would be required at that location. In addition to what we already have proposed as part of the Dinuba streetlight project. And so I think the general plan has certain limits on what parcel size it should be and what types of uses should be there. A lot of the land uses that were adopted are still from 2009. At this location, this property has been designated C1 since the mid-90s. And even before that, it was proposed to be multifamily residential back in the 70s. So, you know, it's an issue of taking a look at it, analyzing it. The property owner is more than welcome to submit an application to have it considered as C3, and we would process it accordingly.
So it's on the general plan right now, there's an office building there, which I think is an outlier. Who knows how it got on the general plan? I don't think it's applicable at all. It sounds like it's been changed since then through an amendment or something, and now it's, as you say, C1. But so you're recommending that the landowner would come in and make an application with the building department to change that zoning to C3, and that would ultimately go to the planning commission for consideration?
So the process would be an applicant or property owner. Any property owner is always welcome to submit a land use change. General plan amendment and rezone would be what he would propose here. And it would be considered, it would be routed to outside agencies to see if there's any issue with it, which is typical. And then it would be considered by planning commission for recommendation to the city council. The city council would be the ultimate decision body.
Would it be better to do that before LAFCO annexes it or after it? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think the limitations as part of this property, because he wasn't considered as part of the prior entitlement application, you have other things that go along with that. You have environmental, you have CEQA attached to that, and a whole process that the applicants for that project went through to process that project.
Because once he gets through LAFCO, it's 2 years before he can rezone. Is that
Correct.
right?
Once a notice of completion is recorded and it's annexed to the city, there is a 2-year moratorium on land use changes.
Got it.
But it gives him time to market it. It gives him time to research it and find a user for his site to maybe have a better idea of what's appropriate at that site. Maybe it's not C3. Maybe he feels that something else would be better at that location. I don't know.
But the application is the way to start it out.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
And again, that completes the new project portion. If there's any question on existing projects, we're happy to answer those as well.
Did you want to go into the current projects?
I was keeping it short to new projects. I was saying if there's any questions
council wanna go into
on
the
current
current projects,
projects,
or
we
are we
would,
good with
if
moving on
anybody
from
wants
here?
an update on a
We're
current
good.
project.
We're good.
What about Thompson Park, where we are with that? I mean, I know there's been a lot of issues with the water, somebody,
So, at the recommendation of the city council, I was gonna provide this during departmental updates, but
okay, we could wait. We could wait.
it's related. It's related as part of this, so I think it's warranted. I think staff went and met with district CID representatives to have a discussion about a lot of the responses we've been receiving on the ATP trail and some of the construction proposals as part of this and Thompson Park. And needless to say, I think we came away very happy with the result of that meeting. I think staff has a good understanding of where CID is at and where the city is at. And we amicably agreed to push the projects forward. And so I don't think that there's any issue with where we're at in terms of understanding. We're working through some logistics on design, but we're progressing through. So that was, I think, a huge that's been a long time coming. I think the district obviously has a perspective because they have specific mandates for groundwater preservation, irrigation water delivery to farmers and things of that nature. And they don't always jive with development and construction and growth of a city. And so we have to be sensitive to those issues and work with the district. And in our meeting, I think that point got across, whereas historically, I think it may have been missed by prior staff.
Is there any economic effect? I know CID always watches the bottom line pretty closely. Is there any issue with the irrigation pipe or any?
And I think, again, we were pleasantly surprised by the outcome of that meeting in the fact that we believe from a engineering standpoint, it will be valued engineered and they will work with us on that.
So what's the proposed timeline on this best case?
Follow up to that meeting, we're working through cross-section design of open air canal and trail similar to the trail system in Clovis, to where it won't be completely undergrounded and piped. They were okay with open air as long as it's properly maintained. There's proper clearance and access provided as part of that, and there's appropriate maintenance agreements that go along with that. And so we're working on reviewing the standards of other agencies and proposing those, which would allow us to complete the project within the budget allotted.
Which is 12 months, 18 months?
18 months. I think it's 2027. Yeah. It's 2027.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody with any questions?
I have a question. I just want to get an update on the Amberwood track.
I have an item on the next agenda for the final map for that project. They've begun at-risk grading and development out at that site. I believe they have the road closed for storm drain installation as part of that project, which is all at risk pending the completion of the subdivision agreement. They have approved improvement plans, and we've been working through the final map, bonding, getting signatures and things of that nature to bring that project to the city council, hopefully at the next meeting, if we can get agreements from the applicant on some of the items in the subdivision agreement.
So is it fair to say that we are pretty much on track and that we'll probably be seeing models pretty?
In discussions with the home builder staff, they're looking at submitting master plans for the homes. I believe they said mid to end of this month for review, which would generally speaking of the holidays, get approval for the master plans, probably with January, beginning of February, with them maybe beginning construction March or April of next year on those homes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody with a question for Deputy City Manager Keen on the update for the projects? Anybody online or on the phone with a question regarding the project update?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
That we will bring the matter back to council. Move on to our next item, which is consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar category are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar made part of the regular agenda. Council can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Does council have an item or items on the consent calendar they would like to take off tonight?
He's got about 10 of them.
No, I don't have a ton of them. I need 222 and also 2-5.
Okay, 22 and 25. Anybody else?
I like to pull 2-4.
Yeah. Okay, 2-4. I would like to pull item 2-6. Is there a motion to approve items 2-1, 2-3, 2-7, and 2-8?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay, item 2.2.
Okay, check number 88083. That's to the, I guess, the Downtown Bid Associate Media Management, Irvine Company, $1,800. Was that the last, payment on that particular item? The,
Councilmember Avos, yes, I believe you're correct. That is the last payment we paid to Advine, which was our social media vendor for downtown Selma
so that was the last payment? Okay,
for September.
so we won't see that in the next register?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. And also, I also, oh yeah, 5, that's for, actually, this is for the engineering guy, David, on the, this, on the right of way, the agreement with the associate right of way consultant. Now, no, okay, that particular contract is generally a 3-year. Am I correct on this, David? When you do these contracts with these associate, when you bring in consulting services, is it a distant? Okay, the question I'm gonna ask, okay, when you bring these, I want to say contract consistent people to help you assist on engineering. Now, they're not there for a long term, right? They're there for the short term, David, when just the area that you need them at that point, if it's needed for roads or engineering aspects in the city. Or is it mandatory to use a 3-year contract? That's the question I'm gonna hit you up with.
Item tonight is to award consulting agreement with right-of-way control. Project is specifically Caltrans has very strict requirements. Provided for this service is not to follow the Caltrans Chapter 10 rules. That limits your consultant to a 3-year. Follow Caltrans rules. Elected and are process of the Caltrans process for selection.
Okay, on that note, David, this particular associate, you've done business before with these people? I asked that question. I mean, are they,
I'm familiar with these consultants, yes. There were 3 consultants that submitted proposals. This was a public RFP process that went out to the public, and 3 different firms submitted proposals. They're according to the Caltrans rules again. There was a selection committee assigned by the deputy city manager and the city manager's office. The committee read through each proposal, ranked each proposal for the criteria that was published with the RFP. This is the consultant that scored the highest with the selection committee. And therefore, we're recommending that the council set up an agreement with this consultant.
thank you, David. On another note, this particular associate, are they very streamlined operation? These people that
Sure.
I,
So
I,
my
you,
first-
you have, you dealt business with these people, so that's the question I'm asking. Basically, because a lot of projects are on the line, we want to kind of streamline and I know it's CBG money, but the process, but you guys are already on it, so.
Right. So I do have experience with this firm. I have no issues with them. I believe that they'll be able to do the services that are needed for this project. Part of the RFP, the scoring criteria was that they would be able to perform the work within a certain amount of time.
So that was in their proposal and it was scored accordingly. And this is the consultant that scored the highest. And so therefore, we're recommending that we go with them. And the funds are available through CMAQ and we're ready to get them started right away. And there's a calendar that they provided in their proposal, which is starting as soon as they get their agreement and working through the winter and into the spring. And part of our timeline was in hopes that the right-of-way acquisition is done in the spring so that we can move right into construction.
Okay, on the other note, tonight, if we approve this and how fast would it streamline? That's the another question on that particular item.
Sure, so I believe that's what I just said, is as soon as they have their agreement from the city, they're ready to start their work according to Caltrans right-of-way certification and acquisition process.
Okay. Thank you, David. Thank you. That's all I have on this one.
If I could add to that, council member, as part of the timeline also, because we're going through property acquisition, you could be delayed by property owners. So I just want to throw that out there. Property owners don't have to sell to the city if they don't want to. And then it gets into it coming back to you as the city council for eminent domain and other procedures. So those procedures aren't usually considered as part of a schedule, but it is something that to consider just for reasonable expectation of what the process could entail.
Just looking at those corners, you got one house and then you have one commercial and then you have a couple of ag locations. So hopefully everything will go according to plan, but you never know. That's a good caveat there, just in case. Could delay things. Let's hope not. Is that good, council member?
Yeah. Good.
Got a question. Mine is 88154, and then the related item 88142, M3 planning, and then M3 planning. And one is 12,000 for an annual license. One is 15,000 for a development one-time fee. Is that Placer AI by another name?
No, that is Madison AI, which is a software which was started. We started demoing this and it is available to everybody that is on our system. We were planning on doing a demo once we had it up and running. We're still uploading items, but it is essentially a chat GPT for local government. And what you do is you upload all your resolutions, ordinances, staff reports, policies, and you can research and find dates of when actions occurred. You can provide summaries. It can even jumpstart a staff report for you if you needed that type. So it's another efficiency for staff to utilize. Council can utilize it too. It is part of Active Directory. So as long as you have a City of Selma login, we will send out that link to everybody that is on city staff to find information. Again, resolutions, all the agenda packets for the last 15, 18, 22 years are on there. Everything on the website is in there. Transcripts from meetings, everything can be found through this system.
How about videos?
I mean, we have the YouTube videos. It will not pull up the videos. It does have the transcripts from the videos though.
So this is 27,000. How did this get approved? I don't remember approving this as a council.
Well, multiple departments have licenses, so it was under 25,000 per department.
But the total is, the aggregate is over.
But there's multiple departments and multiple department heads approved it below the purchasing policy.
Who signed the contracts?
City manager.
We did, I mean, that's why I thought it was Placer AI, because I've never heard of these people before. It sounds like an awesome program. I'm just saying, we're a little blindsided
No, I
because we're
understand.
seeing 27 grand on a check register and we don't even know what it's for. It sounds great, but in the future, can you
No.
run it by us first?
Understood.
Okay. Anybody with any other questions about the check register? Anyone online or on the phone?
Mayor, I see no hand raised at this time.
Okay. No. All right, so we took up item, that's 2-2. Item 2-4, Councilman Oseguera. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to approve item 2-2?
Make a motion.
Is there a second? Okay, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, item 2-4.
Actually, I pulled it, not because I had any questions, but I just wanted to give kudos to Director Moreno for, I looked at it and I could actually understand some of it. Which is amazing, because most of the time I was like, what the heck is that? So she took the time to, I called her and we spoke on the phone, and she kind of told me what was going on, and thank you for making it easy for some of us to understand, because I'm not an accountant person or, so anyways, thank you. That's all.
Council member.
Anybody with any questions,
You know,
comments? A budget amendment? Yeah, thank you. This is really transparent. We've been looking for this for a long time. Really appreciate it, Director. Okay, is there a motion to approve item 2.4?
make a motion.
Okay, I'll second.
Second, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, item 2.5, Councilman Avalos.
We already talked
We
about it.
already talked about
We
that.
talked about that already.
Okay, so we're good on that.
Make a mo-
Is there a motion to
I'll
approve?
make a motion.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, item 2.6, I called for this one. City engineer? Has this already been submitted?
The applications
To
were
COG?
submitted to COG, yes.
Okay, so you're just showing us what you already submitted to COG.
So, part of the application requirement is a resolution from council agreeing
Got
that
it.
the council is supporting these applications. That the deadline for this resolution is November, it's in the packet, November 14th or 15th. So it comes after the applications are due in October. So we met that deadline tonight. Tonight, we're presenting the resolution to the council recommending approval of it so that we can submit this to COG in time for them to award the projects. They won't award projects that the councils do not agree with.
Because I was at COG when they said that it'd come in and it was, the applications had come in. Okay, so I had a question. I'm looking at the 4 projects that went in. We were pretty clear in the last meeting, that we were looking for speed buttons on, in front of Selma High. Did I miss that, or is that in there somewhere?
Selma High School is not part of these 4 projects for safe routes to school. The Selma High School was funded through HSIP funding. That was already approved, and we are already in design for those projects, both on the west side of the high school and the east side. And we've talked with the chief, talked with our traffic engineers, understand the council's direction, and we're working on it.
Great, so that means that speed buttons will be part of the HSIP project.
At a minimum, I believe that's the right recommendation, but if there are other applications that we've all talked about, have everything that our engineers are looking at to try and make sure we use the appropriate function. And if it's speed buttons, the dot spots, then so be it.
And do our public safety professionals, do you folks have, our first responders, do you have any issues with speed buttons as opposed to speed bumps?
We do not, in following the previous council meeting where the different traffic calming measures were discussed, we had an internal discussion, and we are going to be engaged in the design process for the high school project specifically on both sides. And we're going to come up with solutions that are going to best fit the streets that they're going to be on, their different streets. But I think that the final design will meet the intent of what our citizens as well as the council desires, and also satisfy the needs for public safety response and all of that. And so
That's the most responsible way of doing it.
I won't necessarily agree to speed buttons, but there will certainly be traffic calming measures that will, definitely slow
When
down
we,
traffic there.
it will come to us for funding, right? It'll come to us for final approval. So count on speed buttons
Yeah.
being put back in there. So hopefully we can all agree on that. Thank you. Thank you for everybody working together on this. Thank
You
you.
just have one question, Chief, or Engineer Horn. When you're saying both sides, do you mean the backside on Thompson and Wright Street, which is the front of the high school?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you.
And when will that be coming in front of us, do you think?
That funding was already applied for last year and it was awarded to the city. So our engineers are in the preliminary engineering phase of it. The tactical urbanism that you saw on the west side pretty much shows exactly what we had proposed for funding. So that'll become a permanent traffic calming measure. Once we get the plan, what we talked to the chief about is having our engineers get to about 50% to where we can actually see the plans and understand what we're proposing. We'll meet with staff, go over all of the options, and then if we need to present it to council at that point before we move to final plan approval and bidding, because that'll be a public bid, we can do that as well.
Great. So maybe around spring or summer or something of next year.
Or earlier than later, yeah.
Earlier than
So I
that.
think this.
Because we're already at full design.
Yeah,
Got it.
the hope is that during the winter, we do most of the design, and then once the weather turns, we can be ready for construction.
Good news. Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody online or on the phone with a question on item 2.6 of the consent calendar?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Oh, thank you. With that, I'll make a motion to approve item 2.6. Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Robertson,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Yes.
And with that, we'll move on to departmental reports. Do we have the interim city manager with the report?
Grace,
There.
also our new city manager on there.
That's true.
Hi, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me? This is John.
We can.
All right. Thank you very much. I have nothing to report other than this is my last council meeting with you and the staff. And I just wanted to thank you and city attorney and the wonderful staff that we have for all your support over the last few months. I really kind of feel like Moses. We're right there at the promised land. I won't get to go into it, but Jason will. He'll lead you there, and look forward to hearing great things about the city. And again, I just want to thank you for a wonderful time and the honor of being your interim city manager.
Thank you, John.
Say thank you.
Thank you,
Very
John.
much, John. Thanks for your leadership. I thought you were actually saying you were like Moses is in Moses Malone because you did a slam dunk of a job as an interim city manager. Thank you. You did a great job. Don't be a stranger. I'm sure we'll see you for the next couple of weeks. So thank you for your leadership. City Attorney, do you have a comment?
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy City Manager Keene.
I'm probably gonna steal a report from some of the council members, but I was privileged to attend the ribbon cutting for the Crestwood facility last week. And it's a beautiful facility and you wouldn't expect it to be there. And that's a testament to the work that they did, the investment in the center at Dinuba and McCall. But apart from, Crestwood, investing within our community, I just wanted to give a shout out to the community development staff that processed the conditional use permits, I think as early as 2018, an amendment in 2021, and then an extension and another amendment in 23 and 24, along with the coordination of the building permits, ongoing inspections out at the facility, coordination with the property owners out there. It is really a testament. And I think if you ask Crestwood staff, our personnel in the building department and planning department were responsive. They really enjoyed working with our staff is what I heard. So I just want to give a shout out to Miriam, Lupe, and Matt Kamara too, even though he's not here. All of them were heavily involved in that project and it is a beautiful project.
Great. Thank you for your report. And that was a great ribbon cutting. I'm sure we'll hear more from our champion of the project, Councilmember Avalos, during his report. All right. HR Director, soon to be Deputy City Manager, a vote.
Members of council, I had the pleasure, along with our public information officer, to attend the Workforce Connection job fair. So we had a nice day Both Jose and I agree we're going to do a few upgrades to our booth before we go to the next job fair. But it was very well attended. He did a great job on flyers for us that directed people to our NeoGov recruiting system and to Selma's website. And so we had a really good turnout and did a lot of good speaking with people. And for the last couple of weeks, we've closed multiple recruitments. We're interviewing for 3 positions just this week. I was very fortunate to bring on a very qualified human resources technician this week. So I'm looking forward to great things from him, and we'll get him into a council meeting so he can meet you all.
Great. Thank you for your report. Okay, City Clerk, do you have anything to report tonight?
I do. I have been very involved with training recently. Last week on the 29th, I attended an FPPC training for fair political practices. I have also attended Strengthening the Clerk's Role in Public Policy on October 30th. And the second week of November, I will be in Los Angeles for new law training.
Thank you. Okay. Finance Director Moreno.
Mayor, nothing to report.
Okay, Fire Chief Webster.
I'm going to defer to Community Services Director Fletcher real quick.
Mr.
I didn't want to take her turn.
Oh, okay. We will get back there. Usually it's split up between community services and the Arts Center.
Good. We have a new position now.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Just a few things to report on. So we do have a Christmas story opening at the Selma Arts Center this Friday. Tickets are on sale at theselmaartcenter.com. Should be a really good family show. We actually have a group of seniors attending on the 15th. And so they get the front row seats and all the good stuff. So that'll be a good time. We're also kicking off our NFL flag and Spark Squad program, which is our flag and cheer program, this coming Monday. So my coordinator has been working very hard to get the coaches all lined up and ready to go for that program. And so we're really excited for that. And then additionally, our 5K color run is going to be on November 15th. So we'll be there bright and early. I see Patrick excited. Throw some color. And we will be taking in-person registrations at a discounted rate. They don't get all the goodies that everybody else that pre-registered gets. But if you're interested in joining the run, there is still an opportunity for you to come and have a good time that morning. And then the last thing I wanted to report was that Community Services has officially taken over Animal Services. And so we're currently going through that transition program. So bear with us. We're doing our best over there. And we're just really excited to grow our department and get some new staff on board. So that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. We have our tickets, by the way. Rose and I are going to be seeing A Christmas Story on Friday. So looking forward to it. Fire Chief Webster.
All right. A couple items tonight. Just a brief update on the EMS facility. We've received a revision to the proposal from Mobile Modular. I think we're finally at a point where we're happy with the design. I've sent a copy of the proposal to our city attorney for review so we can start working on just the details of the professional services agreement, and then we'll be bringing that to council for your review and consideration. And then also working with our city engineers team. They have been working with us for the final revisions of the site plan, and that should be going to planning for their review process and permitting. And they're working on an engineer's estimate for us for the updates to that design there. And so everything is going, I think, well, and we're moving along. And so, timelines are always tough to project, but I think that we're going to be close to be getting within, bid process and all of that by the first of the year, I think. And hopefully we can get this thing going by the middle of next year. So progress is happening, and we're definitely on the right track with that piece of that project. So we're excited to get that thing going and those doors open. The second thing, which is very preliminary at this point, today myself and some of my staff, as well as Chief Alcarez and some of his staff, met with Selma Unified to discuss a multi-casualty incident training with Selma Unified. And so we were reached out to through West Hills College through their EMS program to our EMS supervisor, Daniel Diaz. They're looking for a host agency for their multi-casualty incident training that they do every year for their paramedic program. And every year a different agency throughout the Valley hosts. And so this year, it was brought to us and we felt that it would be a great opportunity for us to do a multi-casualty incident within one of our schools. As you recall, last year, or actually this year, Fowler had a scare with a possible shooter on their campus, and it just really highlights, that those types of incidents can happen close to home. And so we had the preliminary discussion, and the Superintendent Gomes agreed to be able to utilize one of the school sites for that training, and we're going to start the planning stages and reaching out to the different cooperators and agency partners to be able to do a drill so we can, have a walkthrough pace and everybody understands the capabilities and the gaps in the plans. And so it's just going to make our community that much safer and really just reinforce, our partnerships with our agencies. And so looking forward to that. It's going to be a really, good experience, I think, for our staff as well as just the administration really understanding how we're going to work together in that. And the last thing I want to say is, interim city manager Kunkel mentioned it that that this is the kind of the beginning of a new era, and I just really want to compliment the team that we have here. And it's been a challenging few years, and the last 6 months having Margie and Maggie here, and it's just really made a change for everything, and having the team and the support's been great. And so compliments to you guys, you as well, Director Moreno, putting our department on the headlines literally, and just out in the spotlight. It's really been great. So we're on the right track for sure.
Awesome. Good to hear. Definitely. Speaking of, Communications Director.
Members of the council. Selma's been getting a lot of media coverage lately. On CBS 47, you saw Meet the Mayor segment that promoted all the amazing things we have. Also, we have Fire Med being covered on CBS 47, and Mid-Valley Times recently did an article on it, promoting it to their audience. Secondly, as Director Fletcher knows, it's been a very busy month in October. I've attended and documented a lot of community events, including the Band Festival, Crestwood, National Night Out, the Workforce Connection Job Fair, the Resource Fair, and the Halloween Spooktacular Bash. I've been documenting video, photo, and putting it out there on social media, just so the community knows that there's always something happening in the city of Selma. So come out and be a part of it. So that's kind of what I've been at for the past month. The last thing I have is I've been walking downtown Selma, meeting with business owners to start promoting our Small Business Saturday, which is on November 29th. It's a collective day where we're all promoting sales that are happening in downtown Selma. It follows Black Friday, and we're promoting the festive environment to come out and buy some Christmas presents that day. We're going to have some Christmas carolers, and it's all a part of the work I'm doing with the downtown Selma bid. So look out for more flyers and more social media behind that.
Awesome. Thank you. Just a quick question, follow up on Director Fletcher's comment that Animal Services have gone over to the Parks and Community Services. That's what threw me tonight. I didn't see the parks ahead of it. That's a good thing. The things that follow from that, just inquiring as to whether you two directors are getting together to potentially rebrand, because there is a sign with still showing Selma Police. The shirts that the Animal Services folks wear still has the previous police moniker on there. Are there plans in process to rebrand and change that?
Yes, there are. We've actually already met and discussed some ideas, and so you'll see that coming within the next coming weeks. We're in the pre-planning process.
Good times too, because the Animal Services Manager position is being interviewed for, and Councilman Oseguera and I and you, Director, were fortunate enough to be on that committee. So very good. Okay, and we'll move on now to our police chief, Alcaraz.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I have nothing to report.
Okay, Public Works Director Han.
Quite a
Can
few
we take a
things.
break before we listen to all this?
I've got quite a few things to go over, but I'll be brief. And first thing I wanted to speak of is I want to congratulate all the staff and David Horn and Yamabi and Horn Engineering for actually pulling off the Second Street project before the band festival. I know that that was everybody's priority and it was all hands on deck and we actually our contractor finished the paving at 5 o'clock on Friday evening. So I just want to thank everybody. I always get the thanks from council and I appreciate that, but it's my staff and the other city staff that makes these happen. So I wanted to personally thank them for that. With that being said, I think some people have already noticed, I've gotten a couple of text messages. We had some flags that were purchased by Bloomies about 5 years ago. They were supposed to be fall flags that were put up around town. And I had no clue that we even had them. I didn't know anything about them. But in going through and making contact with the business owners and talking to them about the work that was happening on High Street, it was brought to my attention by the owner of Bloomies. We've since put those up. They're only going to be up for a couple of weeks. And the reason why is because we have to shift gears into all of the holiday decorations for Christmas. And that's about a 3-week process to get all of that done. So I just wanted to bring that up and thank Bloomies for the flags. They're beautiful. And I think that it really kind of pops the downtown area for the fall season. So the next thing I want to talk about is our other big project, Musco Light Project. A big shout out to Trent, who was the foreman for the contractor doing the install, to Mark Alves Electric for the consulting he did, for Francesco Canella, who is my parks lead, who actually did all of the work of those new panels. And I'll tell you, if you don't go in and open the control panels and the switch gear to see what's actually in there, it's a if you're not an electrician, it's just like a maze of wires and switches. And I want to thank Francisco for being willing to not only handle his position as a lead and keep his crews going, but also to work with Mr. Alves, who did some of the original lighting on the Schaefer Park lights, which is why we wanted to consult with him for troubleshooting. But great job from those guys. I can tell you last Thursday or Friday morning, I was off those days, but they actually switched them all on. Everything came on. There were no issues with anything. I can tell you that there is I believe, a soccer practice that's happening. Is it soccer or baseball, Director Fletcher?
We have some of our NFL flag football teams out
Yeah,
there tonight.
so they're out there tonight playing under those lights. So thank you to council for approving that project. I know that was a huge project for the city, but I think that the benefits that the city will reap from that project will be for many years to come. So thank you for that. We have gone through the commissioning process. We are trying to set up the training with the people who will have control or access to control those light systems, which is Director Fletcher, I don't know what Matt's title is, but her coordinator, Matthew Tiger, myself, Ulysses Maravilla, who's my supervisor, and Francisco Canella. So we'll have a good realm of people that will have access to control that and make sure that works right. The next thing that I wanted to talk to council about is Schaefer Park. The small playground structure came up last council meeting. And that playground equipment is outdated. It's not safe. We cordoned it off probably 4 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, for safety reasons. And it's for small kids. It's not safe for them to be on there. So what I'm coming to council with tonight is that I've spoke with Director Fletcher. We have a beautiful newer large playground that's already at Schaefer Park. And I can tell you that just last week I was staying here by myself. My wife wasn't here. I drove around at night because I don't really get out at night and drive around. And I drove around, and I can tell you Brentlinger Park and Schaefer Park were packed with people. After dark, they were out there. There were people walking the trail. There were kids playing on the big playground. It was active even after dark and without the Schaefer part, the ball field lights on. As we move in through the seasons, I think that one of the things that I would like to see out there, Director Fletcher is excited about the possibilities of it, is I would like to discuss a splash pad, a splash park for the young kids and for the older kids too. We know how hot it gets here in the summer. We're talking about sanctioned softball tournaments, all of these things that we want to do. I'm actually looking with my staff at workout stations that you can place around the path, the walk path, to try to promote more people coming there and activities. But I think a splash pad would be very fitting for that location. So I'm just kind of planting the seed right now. I know we're getting ready to go into mid-year budgets. I want to bring that to council with Director Fletcher with some recommendations possibly, and maybe get a little bit of direction. So I'm just kind of planting the bug on that. The next thing I want to talk about, I touched on it briefly a couple meetings ago, is we're moving the Bandits over to the Cal Ripken Snack Bar. That's in process. I know Director Fletcher's been working with, I believe the Grizzlies had some equipment that was still being stored in there. So they're working through getting that back to the Grizzly organization and getting it cleaned up. So I just wanted everybody to know that that's still in process. Tony's actually excited about the location as a permanent spot, and we can come back later and discuss the removal of backstops and the practice field and all that. But with that being said, another thing I wanted to bring up with Brentlinger Park, last week when I was driving around in the evenings, I drove by, again, that park was packed, the playground was packed. They had football practice, they had soccer practice going on. There were people on the pickleball courts with the new pickleball Fon Roche solar lights out there playing. There are a lot of areas, and I would probably consult with Chief Alcarez when it came down to it. There's a lot of dark spots in our parks. And I see a real benefit to the longevity, the sustainability of installing these solar lights. I've spoke about them many times, and actually our next council meeting, Fon Roche will be here from Idaho to promote, discuss their product and possibility of standardizing for new development, sustainable solar lighting to lessen the load, so to speak, on the tax roll for the LLMD areas, but also to replace streetlights for the city that we're paying for right now. So they'll be here on the 18th to present to council on some of that stuff. But again, I'm planting a seed because coming into mid-year, there's many things that going through the processes this year of the projects and different things that we're working on, that some things are sticking out to me. And I wanted to bring those up tonight to start the conversation so that when we get to that point, everybody's kind of already being, we're already talking about it, and it's not some new subject that I'm trying to bring up right at budget time. The other thing that I wanted, the last thing that I have two more things. We worked today on the lot on Nelson and McCall. I personally was out there all day on a tractor. We got that whole lot graded. It looks amazing. We had Mid-Valley out there. Our event, trash event, so that all the public knows, begins this Thursday. It runs Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It will be on the lot on McCall and Nelson that the city owns. Traffic will only be, and I'm saying this now on record so that I know it's being advertised in the flyers, but traffic is going to be a little different coming into that lot. Traffic accessing into the lot will only be able to come from southbound McCall. Northbound McCall, as you come up to Nelson, that number 2 lane, which is the slow lane, will be closed off. Because if we don't close it, we're going to get a funnel of cars. It's going to back cars up past Nelson. So I just wanted to bring that up, that will be happening Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 7 to 3 o'clock. And you'll be entering and coming off of Dinuba going south on McCall. So I wanted to bring that up. Last thing that I have tonight, I wanted to bring this to council's attention and started another discussion regarding a PDQ wage assessment, wage evaluation that was done last year. I would like to work with HR to try to fix some of the things that I don't believe were fixed during that process last year. We're in a position right now where if I bring in a maintenance one, step a brand new person that knows nothing, within 8 years, they're maxed out because of the way the pay scales not only overlap, but from what I understand, before my tenure here, the maintenance three was taken as part of that ladder increase, and the maintenance threes became the lead positions. So I am still having a very difficult time trying to retain employees, trying to hire employees, and I think that there were possibly some recommendations that maybe weren't approved or accepted that could have maybe fixed some of these issues. So I would like to start the conversation, work with Margie and HR, Margie and with Maggie as well, to see impacts to salaries for the fiscal budget. But I think there's some things that were overlooked or just not taken into consideration with the approval of what was approved for my department. So I'm willing to talk about that more, workshop, whatever I have to do, work with the union. But and the other thing, council, is that we've also added new job description. We've purchased a crack sealing machine. We purchased a new tractor. We're doing things that weren't part of the original job description for these maintenance ones and maintenance twos. So I think there's a lot to look at there. I think that we need to talk about it. I know that council has shown their appreciation and the respect for what we do. We're not first responders in the same sense as putting out fires and helping people in need like police force does, but we do keep the city running. And I think that at Public Works, kudos again to my group. I think that we've proven to council that we're willing to take on any task that's at hand. But I feel that my men need to be compensated appropriately for the work that they're doing.
Director Hahn, I have a quick question. I'm just a little confused in regards to your statement. My understanding is when we did the salary study and the classifications, that everybody was going to be brought to that 65 percentile. So that included all mid management, included your department, it included everybody. So I'm just a little bit confused as to your comment stating that your folks are not paid accordingly. Is it that someone didn't get paid? I mean, are they not receiving the raises that we've approved?
So I can't completely answer that question. One of the things is that recommendations, from what I understand from Ramos HR Consulting, were information that I was never provided any of the recommendations. I had 3 interviews with their staff, including Jennifer Ramos, the owner, CEO of that company, and we discussed what needed to happen to reorganize my group to where it was paid out properly. I can tell you, out of that whole process, my maintenance ones got a nice little bump. They were way under the 60 percentile. Maintenance twos got very little, and my leads got nothing. And I'm talking now, I can say that these 2 leads are no longer with the city. One of them has since left and gone to Visalia for wage increase and opportunity, and the other one unfortunately had a back injury that has taken him kind of out for, I don't know when or how he's doing. But I can tell you that both of those men were stagnant for over 4 years. They did not receive a raise for over 4 years. And when the PDQ was finished, they did not receive a raise. Nothing, not a penny, not anything. And so I went through the process of the interviews with them 3 times on 3 occasions. Ramos explained what their recommendations were going to be, and that was the last I heard of it until it was approved, and it was what it was. I had no buy-in on that except for the interviews. There was no consulting by previous staff that was involved in that with me about any of that. So that's kind of where we're at, Mayor Pro Tem.
Excuse
Hey,
me, Con,
Mayor, Vice
you
Mayor.
made a comment right now. 4 years, those particular people didn't get no raises. Is this correct?
From my understanding, yes. Increase in living
In those
only.
4 years, those department heads did none. Okay,
Mayor,
Director.
for the clarification.
members of council, if I may. Employees do top out. And so our goal is to have employees stay long-term with the city of Selma, and you have an A through F system. And so when they've been with the city for a period of time and they hit that top step, then after that, they are topped out except for the cost of living increases that their unions negotiate for them. So that's very normal. I can take a look at the the compensation study and sit with Director Hahn and go through that with him. I have not looked at his portion of that. And so I'm more than willing to take a look at it, map everything out, map everything over the last couple of years, what's happened in his department, and then see if we have any recommendations to come before council.
So I can give you an example of a current employee situation. Mr. Canella that I was just speaking of that did a great job at Schaefer Park, running all the wiring. He's been with the city, I believe, just over 6 years. He was promoted to a maintenance lead after a interim position of 3 months. When he moved from a 2 to a 3, the step that they put him on, basically he's maxed out in 2 years. There's no increase after that. He will have been with the city less than 10 years. And I'm appreciative of Margie or our HR director working with me on that. And I'm, again, just starting this conversation. I haven't even discussed this with her yet. I wanted to bring it to council and discuss it first. But part of the problem is classifications with my employees. We have guys that are doing concrete work, that are doing carpentry work, electrical work, running heavy equipment, and the way that we're structured, or the structure for our organizational chart for public works, it doesn't work appropriately for what we're doing. So, and I have looked at other municipalities and kind of how they're structured, and I think that we need to work on that.
So why don't we do that? Why don't we look at the other cities and see what they're doing? And that payroll study certainly wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And I'll just tell you anecdotally, Director Hahn, we were looking at the downtown and looking at the concrete work, and you had to subcontract that concrete work out, the barrier part because it was curved and all that stuff. But you could do the other concrete work, the flat work, the sidewalk, the street work. But while we were out there looking at it, one of the public works employees said, "Look, we're not contractors, we're maintenance." And so right now, it looks like the pay scale is for maintenance. So it appears the way you're trying to do is to raise the level of public works to public works in more of a capacity of construction that can do the construction. And I remember city engineers loan bid for the first cafe lighting system that would have broken the budget at $560,000, and you came in and found a way to do it for a tenth of that. So that's much appreciated, and that's really good. At the same time, we're not going to be able to do that in the future if we don't have the appropriate pay scales for folks and the appropriate self-perception that maybe there's more to it than just maintenance. Maybe there's, more artisan work to be trained to be done. You went to a concrete conference in Vegas this year. Maybe there are other classes, preferably online without travel expenses, but, just saying, but, learning things is really important and taking those classes. And I think that raises the level, which should be compensated appropriately.
Thank you. I appreciate those words. And again, I've spoken with council in the past at meetings about the sustainability of self-performing and getting the equipment to do road patches. And I can tell you, like our crack seal machine that we're using now, we're going to be doing that in front of our CIP projects where right now, Engineer Horn that's part of the bid package that's going out. So we are looking at that and more self-performing, but that again, and I apologize for my staff. I think my staff is a little frustrated because we went from 2 years ago before I came, just being maintenance guys to when I came here, like we have to do more, that we're not just maintenance, and to be sustainable, this is the direction we need to go. And there's been some pushback and we've lost a couple employees from it, but I think fixing this is going to help mediate that problem.
And I think the confidence works both ways. I think,
Absolutely.
we have confidence in you. You need to have confidence in us too.
I do.
That we're
sir.
trying to all work together here and do our roles and not step outside of our roles and to do the very best we can in terms of budgeting and finding a way to appropriately compensate your folks.
I agree, and I appreciate being able to have an open dialogue with you regarding this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Some questions.
Support.
Tree lights, are they working now?
I'm sorry.
The tree lights downtown?
The tree lights?
Yeah.
So there were two of them, and there was one right in front of the Guerra Robertson building, one just to the north on the same side, and then the one on the far corner coming off of First Street. Those strands, they were $14 when we bought them. We talked about cheap lights because the trees are going to grow quick. We've since replaced them with other lights that we purchased when we purchased the original ones, so they should all be working. I got a picture, I believe, Friday evening from Ulysses Matavia. He was here for a birthday party, I believe, for his sister, and he had his kids downtown and he was taking pictures of stuff. So I believe they're all working now.
Right, what about Pioneer Park bathrooms? Do you have any recommendations for that? I know you guys have been looking at them, not gonna get them done, so where are we at with that?
So Director Fletcher has provided me with a quote that she got from a company for portables, the trailered restrooms, such as the ones that were out there for the events this last weekend. We actually met on site yesterday morning and did a walk of the park for a couple of things. And since you brought it up, I want to get this over with, but we're looking at running some electrical outlets over to the fence along Cattleman's and also over between the barn and the church for events where we have food trucks. We're still having a lot of events with vehicles on the grass. When we were out there Monday, found a couple of those $70 rainbirds that were broke because they got ran over. And so we're looking at options out there. One of the things that we looked at, and I keep bringing it up, and it's a not throwing resources away. The building that's there with the restrooms, that slab that building is sitting on, I could probably put 12 to 15 restrooms on that slab. The slab's in good shape. It could be saw cut. The plumbing can be extended over for the other labs. We are working on that. Just to answer your question, we are working on that, Councilmember El Seguera, and we're kicking options around. I'm hoping that, I think 18th, we're pretty full on the agenda, but we will be bringing that to council with a recommendation after we consult a little more and kind of dive into it.
Also, talking about electricians, why doesn't Mark have a key to open all the boxes and parks and stuff? When we had our event for Pepe Marquez, we had an incident that we had to be looking around for somebody to come and open that. He's the electrician that does all our work, right? I mean,
We do not assign keys to non-city employees. There is one exception to that, and that is for the Bandits football team. And it was the keys to the Cal Ripken snack bar that has not been used for, I don't know, a long time. Besides that facility, as far as I'm aware of, and Sylvia Luna does to take care of the keys and assigning keys, keys are assigned out to city employees only. It might be different for like council staff, but whether Mark is one of our tier subcontractors or service provider, we
yeah, because
don't.
we had to wait quite a wait because we wanted to plug in the beer trailer, and we had to actually move it somewhere else because we were running a cord that was too long because there was nowhere else to plug in. So that kicked up the whatever you call it.
Trip the breaker, yeah.
Yeah, and he couldn't get into the box. So somebody that was there had a truck and wasn't even part of our group. He was one of the vendors. You hooked it up and moved it over there. And that's not be happening.
So one, I don't know if we dropped the ball or if we just didn't have the information to understand what was being plugged in there and that therefore it was tripping the breaker. I don't know what happened with that, but best case scenario is we have on-call staff that has to respond within 30 minutes of a callback. So staff is reachable. We have a 24-hour emergency response phone number that everybody should have access to. It's on the city website.
Just so you know, we're looking at the same plan you're looking at to do lights at Pioneer. We want to put light all the way on what is it? Get the name of the street, right in front of the park. Is it Mill? No.
Rose Street?
No,
On
no.
which park?
Lincoln Park. Is it Selma?
Oh, Selma is on the senior side, yeah.
We wanted to put, plug-ins all around that because, he had to go up there on a ladder and plug into one of the lights. And I mean, that's,
We can discuss that. The sidewalk in the front, I don't know if anybody's noticed, we went through and marked all that sidewalk up. The tree roots are heaving all of that sidewalk. So that is a future public works project because we can remove one or two panels at a time and get the roots shaved down and get that fixed. That might be a good time to
talking
discuss.
about cement, we attended the Veterans Plaza dedication.
Yes.
And lo and behold, there's our cement's lifted or the brick dropped or, but it's still a liability for the city.
So that project is not completed. Part of the application of that project is installing the lights that are going to shine up on the new monuments.
Right.
That is something that Ernie and the Legion has discussed with me. The bricks have to be removed because that's where the conduit will run from the junction box in the center of the circle out the brick and then over both directions to the new lights on the new monuments.
Yeah.
That will be repaired when that brick
The
gets
only reason I
replaced.
was saying that is because there was a lot of people there. Somebody could have fallen and filed a lawsuit against the city because that's negligence. We know it's there and we just admit that it's there. Same thing at Pioneer. I don't know if you noticed the dance floor at Pioneer Village. It's about that much uneven, right down the middle. So when people are dancing, and we get a lot of complaints from that. They're like, they had over 1,000 people there.
Dance?
Of course.
Understood. So I understand what you're saying. We are aware of the problem, but we are also aware of many trip fall locations around the city that we are addressing as rapidly as we can. So we have heaved sidewalks and some ADA issues. All municipalities do, and we have programs to go out and combat those issues, and we're doing so as quickly as we can with the staff that we have.
I was gonna say something, but you already addressed it. Thank you, hon. Thank you for mentioning that last statement.
How about repairs to the Arts Center? Are we gonna do this at the end of the year?
So we just had our structural engineer was in there, I believe, yesterday, and looked at everything. There's some areas that he wants a little more of the drywall taken off of the beam. This is the actual structural that was on the original plans for the build of that project. So he knows everything about that stage and what's going on. Preliminary is it doesn't look like it's so bad that we're gonna have to do beam replacements, but he wants to see more of that beam exposed so he can for sure say, no, we're good. I can tell you in that conversation with our city engineer Horn, what did come up is that lift that I got that great deal on used from Quinn Reynolds. We sent the specs over to the structural engineer and it absolutely will not be allowed on that stage. It's too heavy. So I'm gonna have to work with Nicolette and Director Fletcher to come up with a new idea for a lift for that stage. So we just got that
Back to the
direction
park.
yesterday.
So we have these beautiful Veterans Memorial. I'm sure we'll all mention it in our comments. But it just seems inappropriate to have the Santa house there with the new veterans, the KIA memorials. Are we getting any closer to moving Santa's house, which we love and want the Christmas tree? But Santa's house, we were talking about putting it in that parking lot to the north there where those parking spaces are, taking some of those parking spaces and rededicating them, putting some concrete in would that be within the wheelhouse of Public Works to put that, in effect, concrete like patio in where you could put Santa's house?
I do believe that is something we are capable of doing. If you're asking me, can we do that before we need to set it this year? I don't think that
I don't
can
think
happen.
this year, but maybe
But
put
in
it
the
on your
future,
radar. for
yes,
next year.
absolutely. And I mean, I'll discuss direction from the city manager once it comes for, like, if you guys want to move it, that's where it's been since way before my time
Way
here.
before. But we
So-
never had Veterans Park like we
Understood.
have it now, and we're gonna
Right.
uplight it, and it's gonna take away from it. If you put a Santa's house in front of the KIA memorials
I agree.
of, Selma residents who gave their lives in battle, you won't see the lights. It just won't be as powerful as it is. And I can tell you, I'm not saying this for myself, the veterans, many, if not most of the veterans I talked to out there said, what are you doing with that Santa house? That you need to move that over. They all love Santa house, but they just want it moved to a different position in Lincoln Park.
I'm fine.
Eventually.
I'm fine with wherever the community would like to put it.
Great. Do you have anything else?
Yes, repairs to the Art Center, I was also talking about the carpet, paint. The carpet is in bad shape.
So we just received dates from Nicolette. I believe last week she gave Ulysses Maravilla 3 or 4 dates. And they're like 3-day windows that we have to go in, take all of the risers out, all of the seats out, and then have them come in and clean and then put all the seats back. So we're working through that right now when we're going to be able to get in and do it. We did remove 3 sets of risers a couple weeks ago for an event, but those just got put back in because they have the plays starting this weekend. So we're trying to work with the Art Center and Director Fletcher on how we can get in there. We've never taken it off the list since it was brought up months ago at council.
Also, another one, I have a lot of stuff to do.
Do.
Um, well, I was talking to Councilman Trujillo at the parade because we were the early birds there. And we're sitting there and he's told me, because we were talking about where the police department has all their cars right there, right here downtown, well, right here. And Mr. Trujillo proceeded to tell me that, hey, a long time ago, it was decided that that triangle right in front of the police department, right there, that was supposed to be where the police was gonna put their vehicles. And I said, well, what a wonderful idea. We can have that parking lot for people to come and park at, we have big events.
So that parking lot, there's a major sign that's actually already installed several months ago in that parking lot. That is the location of the Selma Park and Ride. So that is an upcoming project. There will be a bus shelter installed. So that is already a designated piece of property for a parking lot for Park and Ride. So for events, it would be probably a good overflow parking lot.
Yeah, and that's funded through grant funding
Right.
as well.
Yeah,
No,
'cause
I'm
we
sorry,
can-
not
we
major.
can surely use that parking with the police. I mean, we have that old parking over there and that was supposed to be knocked down and,
No, that's gonna be my comment. That was gonna be an agenda item to move forward on that. We already mentioned it as an item. We're getting way off we
No.
probably want to keep moving forward because these are non-agendized. Well said.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, with that, we will take a break, 5-minute break. Thank you for all the comments. If you don't have any reports for the rest of the evening, have a good evening. Thank you for coming out. And we'll take a 5-minute break and get back to the rest of our meeting.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
And we're gonna go into item 4, which is a public hearing item tonight. Introduction and waiving the second reading of ordinance 2025-14, amending Title 4, Building Regulations, and Title 7, Fire Regulations relating to the California Building Standards Code update effective January 1, 2026. Report, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you is, we're actually ahead of the curve on this one. Last time we did this type of update, the California Building Standards Code was already in effect. And so we actually did the ordinance after the effective date. And so this ordinance adopts the updates adopted by the Building Standards Commission at the state of California that will go into effect January 1st, 2026. For building permits, fire code, demolition of building electric code, the variety of items for permitting that is submitted and reviewed by staff and then inspected by staff. All we're proposing is to adopt language to adopt this code as well as future code updates in the future so that we are always up to date. We can always adopt local amendments if we so choose after the fact when we review the Building Standards Code update in Title 24. And we are not touching the existing municipal code. So this is just a first reading to keep us up to date with, the Building Standards Code now and going forward starting January 1st, 2026.
Okay. Anybody with any questions for the revisions in the standard building code?
No, he's on it.
City Attorney, have you reviewed such changes, and are there any that need to be looked at specifically by City Council? Is there anything that should be on the City Council radar in terms of what the city's going to have in terms of building? Will it encourage construction? Will it discourage construction, or is it mostly technical in nature?
Mostly technical in nature. I think you get a lot of sustainability upgrades and items like that as part of California's ongoing climate action goals to reduce emissions and convert more to electric. I think that's predominantly most of the changes that you get and moving towards more sustainable construction. I would say the other part about this is you will see probably a rise in submittals before the end of the year. Usually most contractors try to get under the existing code before they have to update maybe standardized plans that they have. So I wouldn't use the next 2 months as a trend. I would say it's people trying to get their applications in to be under the current code before they have to comply with the code updates. Like we've said, these codes are usually 2 years. Every 2 years, there's a code update. So, agent or organizations or applicants that have standardized plans, like your home builders that have multiple models that they build over and over. After that 2-year cycle and the code is updated, they will have to resubmit that master plan to update to the current code. So
The
what you will
wildfires have been not to interrupt you, I apologize. The wildfire's been such a huge issue in California. Is there anything in here that addresses that with new construction, say, that makes buildings more fire resistant or encourages that?
I think it's more dependent on the climate zone and the actual location if you're in a state responsibility area up in the mountains. I don't think it's as much of an issue in areas such as ours, where we don't have excessive winds, we don't have a lot of fuel to burn like the national forest or items like that. I would defer to the fire chief and the fire marshal on those specific items within the fire code. But California has and always will have a lot of regulations depending on where you're at, what the ISO rating, which we've talked about in the city, which is, a measure of our responsiveness to fires. But where we're at, we're not necessarily as susceptible to, wildfires in Selma per se. Foothills and other areas based on their location will likely have different requirements to some extent.
Okay. This is a public hearing, so if council doesn't have any clarifying questions, we'll open the public hearing to the public, ask for public input, and go from there. Does anyone have any items they would like to share with us at this time? for the public hearing. Anybody online or on the phone with a comment about this public hearing item?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
With that, we will close the public hearing, refer the item back to council. And if there are no questions or comments, I'll ask for a motion regarding item 4.1.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes. Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Moving on to new business items. Action item 5.1, consideration of a resolution 2025-113R to approve an agreement and accept grant funds in the amount of $28,000 from the State of California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control to help reduce underage drinking. Chief Alcaraz.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is merely a housekeeping item. A resolution is necessary to be able to accept those funding so that we can conduct operations that focus on reducing underage drinking by doing enforcement and operations targeting these businesses that are selling to underage drinkers.
Thank you. Does council have any questions about this or any comments?
No, it's, like you said, it's a housekeeping. It's been around, so it's the fact to keep the young kids from getting hurt in their life.
Got it. Any comments from the public at this time? Anybody online or on the phone with a comment about item 5.1?
Mayor, I see no hands raised online at this time.
Is there a motion regarding item 5.1?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Item 5.2, discussion item.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Got a
Excuse me. You have interim city manager Kunkel with his hand raised, maybe to discuss the
Oh.
last item.
Okay, interim city manager.
No, actually, I raised my hands because I need to discuss the next item, the 5.2. Go ahead,
Okay. You beat us to it. All right, item 5.2, discussion item, animal shelter committee provisions.
Yes,
Deputy
Mr.
interim city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. You have a animal shelter committee that has been meeting over the last several months, and it's at this point in time that staff would recommend that you make this a standing committee, which would mean that you would appoint 2 council members, and then you would also appoint the requisite number of citizens that you want on that committee. Under this committee standard, you would be they would be under the Brown Act, which means that they would have meetings scheduled, and they can decide whether it be quarterly, monthly, whatever the case may be. They would have to be agendized. The committee could appoint somebody to take notes and minutes, etc. But at this point in time, we feel that the best move for the city council to make sure that this committee continues to meet all the requirements of the law would be to make this a standing committee, and that the council appoint 2 members, and then again, as many committee members as the council would see fit.
Done on this first. Thank you, interim city manager. Appreciate your input, your report tonight. City council, does anyone have a comment at this time?
Yeah, actually, this committee has not been meeting. All they do is they go visit the shelter and then they come and do a report to council. So I don't know what the issue is. We don't even meet with them. You know, they kind of go out on their own. They come back and give a report, so that's where I stand.
Yeah, so the way this started was, we were, looking for a way to help, people who had experience with the previous animal shelter to help get their expert and their experience, their input on the shelter, and to find a way to leverage that experience. Councilman Oseguera and I formed this ad hoc committee, and one time, and that was one time only, we went over with 2 members of the previous animal shelter. We went over to the animal shelter premises, which is now the Selma Animal Shelter, and met with one of the employees, I believe the director at the time of the animal shelter. So under the supervision of the then city manager. So that was the only time we all got together. Since that time, it has been those two members of this ad hoc, which is a synonym for improvised, committee from the former animal shelter. They're not, on any commissions. They're not elected officials. They've been going over to the animal shelter and walking through and then coming back to the city council meeting with their findings and their recommendations. So, anytime Councilman Oseguera and I have gone over, it's either been just fact finding or just, casually going by and walking through, which wouldn't qualify as a meeting. It wouldn't qualify as a committee. It wouldn't qualify as anything. Because we're not, conducting a meeting and we don't have a quorum of elected officials on the council at that time. And that's the way it will probably go from here. The shelter is hiring an animal services manager, so it will most likely continue with these two folks who are very giving of their time and actually have an animal rescue organization, the Selma Animal Rescue, as what they're doing, their organization. They will continue to go through occasionally the animal shelter and offer their wisdom and their expertise. Council member Oseguera and I, as we've discussed, and have said tonight, we'll go through informally, but it won't be on any organizational way. So, forming a standing committee is excessive at this time. And the ad hoc committee could be said to be disbanded because the original purpose was, again, to gain access to the Selma Animal Shelter, which had been problematic and denied previously. That issue is over. That's done. It's just not reality anymore. We are all working together, and the access is not an issue. So I think at this point, I appreciate the interim city manager's report on this, but I think it refers to a situation that just doesn't exist. There's really no need for a standing committee or even an ad hoc committee at this time because the purpose has been fulfilled. If it does arise in the future, I'm sure we will bring this back to the council for council's consideration to appoint an ad hoc committee.
That's,
Public
yeah,
have
and
any
that's,
input?
and
Yes,
that's
sir.
fine, Mr. Mayor. I just didn't know if you wanted to continue the committee or not. And if that's the case, then yes, that's fine. And like you say, it served its purpose and we'll move forward. Sounds
Yeah,
great.
this is a discussion item, so not an action item, so we're not taking a vote on this. If the public doesn't have anything to say about it, anybody online or on the phone? Anybody looking to say anything about this?
I have no one online at this time, Mayor.
With that, we will move on to our next item, which is item 5.3, consideration of a resolution 2025-114R implementing new health, dental, and vision insurance rates for calendar year 2026. Director Fowler.
Mayor, members of council, you have a health insurance committee that's made up of representatives from each one of the bargaining units and a retiree, and then city staff. They meet on a quarterly basis to review how the plan is working and then to make recommendations. Coming into August, we start meeting on a monthly basis and actually numerous times in the month of October to review the plan, take look at pricing for the plan and to try and keep the plan within a reasonable budget for the council and for the employees. The plan, we always take a look at what the worst case scenario could be because we are self-insured. And so with that, the unions agreed at the table when we met this last time that we needed to fund the plan a little bit bigger, both from the employee side and the city side, to start creating a little bit of a reserve and make sure that we have adequate funding for that. We're recommending a 15% increase overall in the plan. That for the city overall is projected to be about $175,000 increase and a 15% to the employees. It feels a little bit less than 15% for the employees because part of the recommendation is to move from 24 paychecks to 26. We've talked about moving to standardizing our 26 checks to spread all of our benefits over, our deferred comp, all of those things. So January 1, we're moving forward to make that a reality. I do have one exception. I did find an error in the rates that I did give you. And I gave you a comparison so you could see in each one of the categories what those are going to move up to. So I gave you the 2025 rates and then the 2026 rates. So you can see what those are moving to. And again, those are pre-tax also. In the 2026 dental for the family cost, I missed a calculation there. So that rate is actually $9.84 instead of $8.87. And so that moves that number from $4.09 to $4.54. That's the only correction to my item. And so our staff recommendation is to adopt the health insurance rates for the plan year 2026.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, there's, okay, Mark, on the worst scenario, would, on this insurance plan, the way it's rolling across across the nation, dollar wise, what are we looking at?
We're looking at worst case scenario, about an impact of another 175,000 to the city.
That'd be the the worst scenario. Okay.
That's when the reinsurance would kick in.
Yeah.
That's when the stop loss is at the $175,000 limit for the self-funded
That
plan.
would be an additional cost above what we're paying now, and that would take at least 5 people in our plan to hit the full stop loss carriers. So, and then because then we have reinsurance over the top, and so then they would take over claims because not only do we have a specific, we also have the coverage at the top. And so we have a maximum amount of exposure under the plan. Even in the maximum exposure, it's still, the plan is costing about 150,000 less than if we went to full insurance. And so it's still our best option to provide good insurance to our employees at a reasonable cost.
Because health insurance is not just the right thing to do for employees, it's also a recruitment tool.
Absolutely.
And it's worked the other way with some other organizations. I've been on their boards and, that not able to find employees because the health benefits were so much worse than other areas.
Absolutely. And as I speak to employees about retention and about coming here, your health benefits are extremely generous. And so a credit to the council for stepping up and doing that. And it's used as a recruitment tool when you're talking to applicants, you can talk to them about the cost savings. And I recently had that conversation with a candidate, and he was actually looking at another agency. And when we laid out what his salary is a little bit less here, but when he factored in the benefits, he actually is going to take home more and ended up coming to Selma. And so, yeah, you're right. It is a recruitment tool for us.
And the cleanup on this is you're going to change the benefit period from 26 to 24 weeks. So
24 to 26 pay periods.
the other way. So if someone comes in and they separate from the city, there's not that additional 2 weeks of coverage period automatically. Is that correct?
Currently, we're allowing employees to stay to the following month and then 30 days. And so we're also recommending that change. And so employees, if they separate from us, their insurance will end at that end of that month.
How much will that savings be?
It's hard. It's really hard to.
I mean, you don't know how many are going to separate, so you don't know, but.
Yeah. And so, you don't know whether they have family coverage or individual coverage. And so, but it definitely, when you think about, when you think about an employee that has family coverage, and we're allowing them to stay on an extra month, it's an extra, $600-700 to the plan.
More
So,
exposure too, because things can happen in a month. And it's less for HR to have to do as well in terms of adding to Cobra and providing coverage. Okay, 55 to 75,000. That's a pretty big jump in the specific deductible. Walk me through how you came up with 40%.
I apologize. I think it's 65 to 75.
Oh, okay.
Did I miss?
It's not 50, 60, 65.
It's 60, it's on line 2, it's 65 to 75 on the specific, on
Paragraph
on
2.
the resolution. I apologize if.
Oh,
I
that's okay.
put that somewhere.
So in the report is different than the actual resolution.
Apologize, yeah.
Okay.
It's moving from 65 to 75. That's going to save us about 2% on the overall plan. And in order to actually not have a savings, we would have to have 2 additional people. So a total of 5 hit the specific in order to not get that 2% savings that the committee was looking for.
So just looking at the numbers, 2.5 million in premium last year for the healthcare, 15% increase means that it's going to be about 2.9 million this year in premiums then?
That's what
15%.
we're projecting it to be at worst case scenario.
Okay. And that's how much the city pays.
No, the employee portion of that
Contribution.
is their contribution.
That's going up 15%.
That's going up 15%. And so it's an interesting way Selma has done it in the past, though. It's an average of the highest plan and the lowest plan. And so the unions are required to, by MOU, they're supposed to be contributing 10% of the cost. And so, but when you're doing it on an average, it's very hard to get to that. We have ran all the numbers to provide them because they felt that maybe with the cost savings of the insurance costing less than being fully insured, that maybe the unions were being overcharged. We were able to show them the numbers. They're not paying quite 10%. And so they're under what their obligation is in the MOU. Because of the averaging, it's hard to get to that 10%. And so we'll keep.
So the 2.5 million bucks that the city had for health insurance premiums last year, that would, with an increased participation by the employees of 15%, common sense would say it would go the other way then. Then the city would save 375,000 bucks. That doesn't sound like that's happening. Is that correct?
There's a lot of math that goes into that. And it also, the amount of times we hit the reinsurance and we get those refunds and we get the RX refunds, there's just a lot that goes into making all of that up. And so we believe worst case scenario is the 2.8.
Because these are just premiums we're talking about. We're not talking about deductibles and co-pays and all that good stuff that goes back.
Yeah.
We're just talking about health insurance premiums at this time.
Yeah, it's different than premium because we're the ones that own it. And so we
Right.
get to.
But you have to treat yourself as a company.
Absolutely. But if we're able to get back into the plan, 400,000, that stays with the city instead of just being a check we wrote to an insurance company.
And what account would that show up in under the budget, finance director?
That's the finance under self-insurance regulations. We are required to have separate segregated accounts to keep those funds in. And the goal of the committee is to build a small reserve so that when you have those years where you have lasered claims, you're able to not completely have to raise the rates. You're able to use a little bit of the reserve towards that high and then the peaks and valleys. And so that's what the goal of the committee is to try and start creating a little bit of a reserve. And that's why there was an agreement to move by the 15%.
So the account that we're using currently is an internal service fund, which is Fund 700.
Internal service. And then in terms of the way it's paid right now, it's paid through ACH. And I don't know if this is an appropriate time to bring it up, but I didn't see ACH on the check register. Will we start seeing the ACH, the premium paid in effect to ourselves, but it's still premium, right? It's still an outlay.
Currently, well, when this starts working on, when we start paying that, we'll show it on the register.
Because the city has to pay the company for
It's
that
just a-
reinsurance layer and and administering the plan and the broker and all that stuff.
So no,
That's included.
that's included in,
The premium.
so we have a fee to the TPA, that gets ACH'd. And then on the check register is Delta Dental and our vision insurance. So those you're seeing on there. So the only thing you're going to be seeing through the ACH is the actual medical side of it with the claims and then the cost of our TPA.
Got it. And that'll be bundled together. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, Margie, just a quick question, just to get your expertise. Are you stating that looking at this plan that we have currently is still better than the plan with CalPERS?
It's a very rich plan. It has low deductibles. And so it's as good as CalPERS for a less cost. Where I seem to have some issues with some of the employees is we don't have Kaiser. And, you know, through all of the years, Kaiser people love Kaiser. And so that is the one thing that we can't solve with owning our own insurance is Kaiser, because they will not allow you to be self-insured and be enrolled. So the committee is having some additional conversations on how we can continue to better our insurance, and that would be the step towards opening up our own clinic. Cities of Visalia, Tulare, some of them have opened up their clinic. For us, it would be a joint effort with some of our cities that are surround us. We would want the clinic located here, and you would allow your employees and families, almost like an urgent care just for our employees that are on the plan. And so that's a good cost savings, but we have to partner with other communities to be able to do that. But that's something that we will start looking at and pricing and seeing if it's something that we can bring here.
The city's eligible to go back to CalPERS in 2 more years?
Three.
3?
You have to be out 5 years. And so January 1, it will be 2 years that you've been out. So it would be 3 more years. And so that would be an option. We continued to track the costs for not only CalPERS, but a fully insured plan so that we can see what those differences are. And I can provide you with a report on that.
Mayor, I
Any
want to
comment?
correct, it's Fund 705. I apologize.
5, thank you.
Mhm.
Any comments from the public about this?
Hi, Teresa Salas. I am on the insurance committee. I represent the retirees. And the increase, the retirees pay the full premium for dental, vision, and for the Medicare Advantage plan that's offered to the retirees. We pay it all out of our own pockets. The city gave us a stipend, I guess, of $80 a month to each retiree of the ones that were there when this change took place to help offset some of the cost to us. Currently, the total for just the dental and the vision that we pay out of pocket is $77.27. The increase in the dental and the vision, this is just for one person. This is not saying that there's people who have both the employee and a spouse on there. So I'm just saying as one single employee. The dental and vision are going up. So the total cost for both of those for just one person is going from $77 to $102.16. So with the city giving us that $80, we're still going to be paying about $22 a month out of our own pocket. It may not seem like a lot, but when you're on a retired income and it's fixed, we have other things. Thankfully, the council passed the rent stabilization because a lot of our retirees do live in the mobile home park. And when he was raising that rent randomly on us, it was taking all of what little increases we were getting from Social Security. So now he raised the rent this year, but it was a really minimal amount, which was wonderful for us. But having this kind of an increase just really impacts somebody who's on a fixed income. So I would request that maybe you could increase that $80 to cover at least the cost of for one person on the dental and the vision. Not all of them have it, but the majority of them do. And I said, like I said, they have to pay that. And if they don't take the retiree first medical from the city, then they have to go out on their own and buy insurance from someone else. A lot of them, not the majority, but several went shopping when this happened because the amount was going to be so much and it wasn't coming out of our retirement check like it was with CalPERS. So I would just ask that the council consider giving us a little bit of a padding on that stipend that's been given to us. Thank you.
I was going to ask you a question.
Ms. Ellis?
Teresa, I was going to ask you a question on your plan, Teresa, with the city. You were with CalPERS, am I correct?
I was with CalPERS, yes.
So, all right. Back then, that was the incentive back then, way back then. I barely got on that council. That was a good point made, Teresa, on that point as far as when you retire, you don't want to have to share the cost, but I guess I guess what it comes down to is the insurance. The insurance companies have, in the past, it was different. But now since the insurance, there's less carriers out there, so their premiums are extremely high. You know, and and it's hardship for the seniors. I get that part. How to alleviate, and and you're right, we got to find a way for the city employees that work for the city to have the best benefits.
Well, and one of the things that we had when we had CalPERS was the city had an agreement through CalPERS
Yeah. with
that they had to pay a percentage of our premiums for the retirees, and it changed on a yearly basis. And I think that is why the city agreed to give us the $80 because they weren't paying part of our premium anymore through CalPERS. So I think that's where that $80
Yeah,
came from,
I-
just to kind of give us a break, because had we continued with CalPERS, the city was paying part of our premium, so it wasn't the complete premium that was coming out of.
So when they get out
our
of Cal,
retirement check.
basically when they get out of CalPERS, that's when it changed for you dramatically. That's the key. All right. That's a question. I mean, when I was on the council, you guys were getting CalPERS. And when I left those 4 years, it changed. I'm not to be mean, but and I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry that
I
wish I
understand
would
the
never
city's
left.
trying to save
I
money,
I'll
but
still be on CalPERS, but that's
as the
I understand.
retirees, it did cause a hardship for the retirees, but I understand the city's wanting to save money. When
You're
you
right.
kept looking at CalPERS, the premiums were going up, yes. This is a whole different scenario where the city's paying for all those costs themselves. So,
But I actually appreciate what you said right now. That it gives the council up here a perspective in life for the employees of the city and how we handle our insurance plans with the employees. You know, because when you retire, we want people to have a good life, not a stressful life. I understand that.
Nothing's forever. City's looking at it every year. Maybe we could run a scenario on how much it would cost to increase the stipend from $80 to $100.
How many
Just
people do we
How
have
much that would cost?
that are
I mean, the
retirees?
Retirees, what? How
Do we
many?
know how many people?
I
Do we know?
think there's about 35, if I'm not mistaken, but that's just the employees. There are several that are married, so their spouses are on there
Dependents too.
still too.
I was gonna
Right.
say, I believe we have close to 50 on the plan,
Okay.
so.
Yeah,
Teresa's
but
right
that's
with-
including
with
the
the
spouses, yeah.
So 22, that's $1,000. So that's, I mean, that's 12 grand in terms of budget impact. It's just roughing it out, but maybe finance director, you could
But
help
they're
us
already
on that.
giving us $80, so it would be
Be $20.
about, well,
You're paying 102 extra per person. It's 22 per person times 50, right? Just roughing it out. Yeah. That's $1,000 times 1 month. So that's 12,000. I took the actuary's exam. I'm an insurance nerd. So, 12,000 though, I mean, that's just,
But
there are some other,
there's already money allocated for that too. So
$50.
the increase,
so I want to know how much it would cost city to increase that. And do we have it in the self-insured plan? You heard that this 15% is to buffer the reserve. So if we already we've already done probably pretty well with the self-insurance, okay, so far. So maybe there's enough in that reserve to suck up the additional money to help the seniors out?
I do want to point out that we do not have a current reserve and
There's no reserve.
there is no reserve, and the rates that were originally set, I think that staff were trying to soften going into self-insurance, and so they set those rates lower than they should have been. And I think that was because they were trying to bring over the Kaiser people. And so we are a little below the water and not above water.
So
And
the city's actually contributing to the plan right now with general fund money.
Yes, and so that's why the increase, we're hoping to be fully funded and then start to create a little bit of a reserve. And so currently we have no reserve.
Wow.
Okay, so maybe we could look at how much it would cost and then calculate at this increase in premium, when, maybe graph it out in terms of when that reserve would meet that additional amount. So that we could help the seniors and not have to keep dipping into the general fund.
We have open enrollment starting the week of November 17th, so we can easily bring back an item at the next council agenda for you.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. So this is an action item. Any other comments? Anybody on the phone or online with a comment on the health insurance plan?
Mayor, I see no hands raised
One
at this
vision.
time.
Is there a motion to approve this item? Bring it back to council. If there's no comment, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Item 5.4, action item, consideration of resolution 2025-115R, adopting the revised master salary schedule for the classifications of deputy city manager and adopting changes to the classification of deputy city manager, senior administrative assistant, and community services officer.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. The item before you is a resolution to change the master salary chart specifically for the deputy city manager position, putting that 10% below the city manager position. And then minor changes to the senior administrative assistant in the area of the requirement for the degree, adding emphasis on experience also. And then an update on the community service officer. We're getting ready to fly that one, and the police chief recommended taking out the pre-requirement for CPR card. And so it's something that they do after, but it's in the classification, it's a requirement even to apply. And so not having that would have people not be able to qualify for the position. And so those are the recommendations. The classification of deputy city manager is a split position. So it has one deputy city manager over development services and another one over administrative services. I'm happy to answer any questions for you.
Okay, council have any questions regarding these proposed changes?
Yes, on the 5.4, yes, I do.
Okay.
On the education part, Scott. On the education part, you know, I like to change the wording on there, in the education. I like to put, great people came out of nowhere. I like to put, education background with, GED, high school diploma. And take away the bachelor degree in business. Because when you go to these places to start work, any workplace, you start from the bottom and you work your way up to the top. I don't care what industry where you're at, you start with like know nothing. And when you, as you learn as time goes on in the industry, you become the best of the best. And I'm a firm believer in that, Scott. I've seen it, in my life. And I've seen people that, you wouldn't think, they don't have the college background, but they have the tenacity of background of getting things done at a magnitude unbelievable. And I'm a believer, if you get a high school diploma, hey, because any job sites, you're going to learn. Later on, and when you want to move up, you're always going to go to school and improve yourself. That's a given. And I've done that. When I started, I had a high school diploma. I ended up going to college. I moved up. So, and I see that, but I started with a GE degree. So I believe that in this particular word, education, that's what I want to change that, just to put GED or without that area.
Actually changing it so it does not require a college degree. The old wording required a college degree, and so
Well,
we're
I mean,
changing it.
We could change this.
Yes,
Council has policy. We could change policies. Am I
Right.
correct?
So what we can do is
Okay.
we can add the word GED, GED, high school diploma, and then have the other stuff as preferred, which is what we have
Yeah,
listed.
if they start with a high school diploma,
Sure.
later on, if, hey, you want to, we'll pay, go to school, get your bachelor degree, whatever, or business degree. I'm okay with that. I'm a believer in that. So,
Absolutely. I mean, equivalent experience, there are people who have experience in it. It's just as valuable that as a piece of paper on the wall.
yeah.
Maybe sometimes even more.
Yeah.
Because like Councilman Avalos is saying, that experience is hard earned and people learn even more by doing it, rather than reading about it in a book.
Absolutely. We're happy to add that in
Can we
with
change that
classification.
policy?
I think the HR director is saying that we are
Okay.
changing it. That will no longer, a college degree will no longer be required
Yeah.
for these positions that we're looking at tonight. Correct?
Correct.
Or any position.
Yeah.
We'd
Well-
have to look at each classification as it comes through. There are some of your classifications. Finance director requires a bachelor's degree, which she has. So there are classifications.
Petition, are you talking
Yeah, you
about?
gotta have
So we have to take a look at each
ones that are listed.
classification. But the one, this one
These are
before
not
you, we
regular
can
ones.
change to high school, and we will add a high school and GED into the classification.
Okay.
The positions listed on here, they're not, deputy city manager.
Well, no, but it's talked on the other side here, in the background.
Services officer. Okay, any comments from the public on this? Anybody online or on the phone with a comment?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you, sir. Bringing it back to the council, is there a motion to approve this item?
I'll make a motion improvement with that amendment. If we're gonna,
With the amendment that no college degree is required, but equivalent experience is, correct?
correct.
Is there, you're making the motion, a
I'll make the
modified motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, moving on to item 5.5, action item. Consideration and necessary action on resolution 2025-116R, approving and authorizing execution of deputy city manager employment agreement with Margie Fowler.
Mayor, members of council, Margie Fallett has been serving as your administrative services director, an interim position. She is a PERS retiree at the moment. Somehow you convinced her to come out of retirement. And so what you have before you is a 3-year contract that commences on December 1, which I believe to be on or about the point in time at which her 960 hours that she was allowed to work while she was a retiree will expire. So she will be joining us under a 3-year agreement as your deputy city manager. You're all familiar with the terms of the agreement because you directly negotiated it with her. So if you have any questions about that agreement, you just let me know and I'd be happy to try to answer them. But I, for one, am pleased to announce that she has agreed to come out of retirement and work for us full time.
Yay.
I have a story about Deputy City Manager Fowler. I, was at the drugstore and getting a prescription filled and going through some issues there. It's 4:57 p.m. and I call City Hall because I need to talk about, my card, my health insurance card. 4:57, 3 minutes from quitting time, and Director Fowler's there. She is there. She gets on the phone and helps me with that. That is going above and beyond. Thank you for your great work ethic. The other time, another story, first time I ever met you was when we had that issue with the fire department and we had to reissue all those payroll checks. We had to issue manual payroll checks. Never met you before, but you were buzzing back and forth there, just handling everything and doing it professionally and calmly. So thank you for your professionalism. Thank you for coming out of retirement to help us with our city, and look forward to working with you in the
You know,
future.
when I first met her, it was when they were issuing the check. I just went by there to see, and then I said, I wanted you. And then I looked at her and said, who are you? She was just sitting there. Oh, I'm the person handing out the checks. Little did I know. But welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And you have a great team of directors and employees, and you as a council and city attorney, we really appreciate working as a team together. So that's why I was willing to come out of retirement.
Great job.
Yeah, on the note, on my, I've seen you in action, you don't break under pressure. I admire that. You can tell when people are, under the gun, getting things done, and you do it. You step up to the plate and you make it happen. And I admire that, I mean, you don't find that in a lot of people. And they're a dime a dozen, hard to find them, and you're one of them.
All right. Any comments from anybody? Anybody online or on the phone? We do have a comment.
Think this is a very good thing. I've worked with Margie, just with the insurance aspect of it. She's very knowledgeable, very easygoing and easy to work with, especially when you have so many different departments coming together to try to work this whole insurance thing out. And she has been very professional and done a wonderful job. So I'm happy to see her on board too.
Thank you.
Yay.
Anybody online or on the phone?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
That will bring this back to council. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. And with that, we will move on from our new business items to future agenda items. This is council requests for future agenda items not subject to public comment. Items require a consensus. Councilmember Avalos.
Yes, I like to, our next council meeting, I like to bring back, Caesar Luna. He'd been with the city for over 20 years with us. And he got hurt in workman's comp situation. He could have been working for another 10 more years. But since he did his time in service with our city over 20 years, and I think, I'm old school, guys. I believe when you work for the city for that long, you should be recognized who you are and for the hard work and dedication that you've given to the city and the time and effort that you've done. And I think we should bring him back. And usually I think the 20-year, I think we give him a watch. Back in the days, we gave him a watch. I don't know if that's still the practice.
I had conversations with Caesar and he doesn't wear a watch.
Huh?
And so your staff is trying to come up with some
I mean,
type of a program, whether it's a clock or whether it's something.
Yeah,
but
I
yes.
want to bring back to council.
Okay.
So we can give them hey, we can give him a thank you, a proclamation. Appreciate who he was, working for the city of Selma. You know, I mean, and we owe him, back in the days, we used to give him a watch, or they used to give him wristwatches. I think Martin Jewelers used to,
Jim's gonna donate the watch.
no, actually Martin Jewelers, actually the city was put on the budget. They used to on a budget.
Some mush ball equipment. Remember, they
yeah.
used to always
I
come to
know.
our office for
But
mush
I
ball.
think, I'll be honest, guys,
Raise money.
honestly, I think we should bring him back as a group. We should recognize who he is, you know, his family, you know.
We all know them all.
It's not because, you know, it wasn't his fault he got hurt. It happens when you're on the work site. It happens. And we should recognize these people.
Great. Sounds
Okay.
good. Councilmember Oscara.
That's it.
Well, there's one more item.
Gotta make sure.
All right.
You know.
Colombo.
No, no, I want the update, on the Amberwood project. I want, maybe Jerome can assist him. Where we at on the fiber optic line on the railroad company? Okay? Cause I know it's the clock is ticking, and I see Amberwood is moving very fast in their project over there on their housing. And I don't want any future problems, you know, on the issue. Cause I know that, they're working together trying to solve those problems with the fiber optic lines. Can you make a comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. As council's aware, we have a agreement with SKF to have a siphon line for 1,000 units that is being worked on and completed prior to the construction of the fiber optic line, which would allow for approximately, if you do 50 homes a year, you know, that's over 10 years. That's more like, you know, 20 years of homes, depending on what the market allows. And so we're not having any bottleneck. We're not having any delays for future development as part of the Amberwood project because we have contingencies in place. We are working through the appropriate utilities to identify a design to either relocate the fiber optic line. If that proves to be cost prohibitive, then we would have to redesign the sewer line either with a lift station, which might actually be cheaper than relocating the fiber optic line. So we're working through those options at this time, but I can guarantee you that there will not be an issue flushing toilets at Amberwood by the time they're ready to close
Okay.
homes.
On that note, can you give us, talk to David, give us a timeline?
Yeah, well,
More so a timeline.
yeah, and
Keep us update on that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about that. You know, when I see railroad tracks and I see fiber optic lines, say, hey, I know it's a little touchy situation. You just don't hire anybody to go do it. You
No,
hire experts.
No, and we have experts on staff that are working through that item. As I stated, that is not there's no delay, there's no, that we understand the concern of council with regard to unforeseen items such as fiber optic lines. We understand that. We can provide an update of our current process working through Sprint and the other fiber optic utility within the railroad right of way. What I can tell you is we've been talking to SKF through this whole ordeal, and we have assurances for capacity to allow development to continue out on the east side of town.
And on the other note, what would be the cost on that? Do you have a cost on that, Jerome? Is it a
No.
part of the deal?
We're working through the design to identify a cost.
To the design. Okay.
That's a future item.
No, that's a future item. I want to know. Okay.
Councilmember Oscara.
Breeder ordinance. I know you've been working on that. For next,
The breeding ordinance?
yeah.
Yes, I promise it will be here soon. I'm not sure how soon because I don't know what my deadline is for getting it.
There's no deadline, just.
It will be here before the end of the year. Let's say that.
Also, Director Hunt kind of talked a little bit about the lights for the Veterans Plaza, the monuments. Do you know what's holding that up or? Is it in permits or what's the deal?
It's included on the encroachment permit submitted by the American Legion. They were the ones that proposed installing the light, so it's the ball's in their court at this time.
Well, I spoke to somebody from the American Legion last time and they said they're ready to rock and roll, so.
It's on them and their contractors. It's on their plans. It's been issued, reviewed, and, by the city. So it's on them. Their permit's been issued to do that work.
Okay. We will let them know.
It's good to know. Okay, my future agenda items, one would be to retain the new IT company.
Well, you need to, couple of things first. You have two outside IT companies. One does your police department and the other one does the rest of your city. And I think what you're suggesting is that we want to have the IT provider for your police department take over for the entire city. That the idea?
Yes.
So I need to first identify what the terms of the contract are with the current IT provider for the non-police department. I already know that the provider for the police department, which is Unity IT, I know that they are prepared and well, I will look into that.
Great.
And find
Bring us
out
the
what
agreement.
the transition is required of the contract. And bring that back to you. I would think probably not this next meeting, the meeting following.
Great. So we should be able to expect it for the first meeting in December. Great. Thank
That's
you.
what I will target.
Awesome. And the next item is the old police station. We talked about the need for additional parking. We had just kind of chatted about, as a council, this available boon of parking right there at the old police station. The police chief Alcarez had said, that's not an issue. They're using the building for records, but they're not actually using those parking places anymore, as we are all very well aware. 8 parking spaces where the trees are in the wells were taken away from High Street. And it would be, I believe, helpful to the community to compensate for that reduction by adding 3 or 4 times as many parking spaces at the old police station. But to do that, we need to take down that fence, and we may need to even take down that wall over there. So I would like to get, yep. So Engineer Horn's not here. Deputy City Manager Keen is. Could you ask the engineer to prepare a report for what that would entail? Would he need to get involved on this, Deputy City Manager Keen, to give us an engineering report on what, taking the fence down and the wall would entail?
I think working with Public Works and the city engineer is prudent to identify if there's any accessibility requirements that need to be done and what that cost would be.
Yep.
And if there's anything else we would need to provide in terms of meeting our own landscaping standards for parking lots that are identified in our development standards. So running irrigation, electrical, lighting, and some other things out there to ensure public safety, as well as meeting our own development standards as part of any sort of city project. I think would be prudent to just get them involved to make sure we're not missing any of those items.
I think so too, and we're not extremely under the gun from a time standpoint on this. We have the excess parking, but it would make sense to utilize that underutilized structure for something like this, and to do it the right way and plan like that would be helpful. Do you think you could ask the directors to have something for us by mid-December? Would that be too aggressive, or do you think that'd be a timeline that they could meet?
Maybe what we do is can we prepare a memorandum to discuss what we're looking at, and then work through it, to
Scope
kind
it
of give
out
you,
and
scope
then
it out,
figure out the timeline.
identify, we've walked the site, we're working through, and just provide updates of where we're at in the process. I don't want to commit them to a time frame, because as we've talked about, you know, when we set time frames, that and this is not meant as any sort of slight or anything, but that are somewhat artificial in terms of time frame. I know we all want to get things done. We all want to make enhancements to downtown to serve the public, but when we have deadlines and we rush work, we don't get to other work. We prioritize accordingly, right? There's other projects that are in design. There's other projects that we're working on that if we set a deadline to meet, we have to put those aside. So what I would suggest is us to provide maybe bi-weekly updates of where we're at with that to the council through Public Works and the city engineer, to provide updates of, we've gone to the site, we're working through design, we're reviewing the development standards, here's what we've looked at, so that you guys have an idea of where we're at in the process to better prepare you for questions when you guys get them about what we're doing with the parking spaces, but also to kind of show you the logistics involved with how a project's designed, and maybe the timeline that it takes to make sure it's done correctly. I think
Gotcha.
that is really important.
Absolutely. I completely agree, Deputy City Manager, and not to offer a slight right back, but when we don't assign timelines, these things tend to go on and be ignored because there are no timelines. And by timeline, I mean a sense of urgency in scheduling, not necessarily done in 32 days and 16 minutes, but that it will get done and it is being prioritized in a certain way. So I think we're on the same page on that. And I think we can make this work. So thank you. Thank you for that. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, and then I wanted to catch Director Hahn in regards to the completion of the trees and lights where they put, he mentioned about putting, you know, decorative rock or maybe colored, what do you call it? Colored stones or even just kind of making it look nicer there, you know, instead of just the dirt. So I just
In
kind of
those
wanted to get
beds.
an update
Kids were playing
in regards to what we're gonna do there.
Okay. Do we have consensus on every single item we talked about tonight? 'Cause I didn't ask.
Yes.
Are there any items that we don't have consensus on? Because I'm sensing we do have consensus. I'm good with everything that I heard tonight. Okay.
So before we go on, I have a question for the deputy city managers, and we have two of them. When are we gonna get the rest of the iPads to the members of the council? I mean, I know they've been sitting there. Do we have a time frame when we want to get that done? Or, I mean, I love mine. As you can see, I don't even open my packet up anymore. I do it from here because it's more convenient.
We can roll those out, I think, in the next week or so.
Thank you. Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you so much. Booming for your permission. We'll now move on to item 7, council reports. Council member
Here it comes.
Oseguera, please, you're first on the reports tonight.
I should let you go, Rush. You got a lot of things to say tonight. Okay. Now, well, one thing our council people attended Crestwood opening, and I was proud to be there, and I had to represent the Casa Properties because I was a property manager, and then when you're not gonna believe this, guys, me and George met Crestwood for the first time, and George told me with this. He told me, I looked at him, what, George? What is this place? What? So we had a long discussion. And then together, George made an agreement with Crestwood, what kind of people will be brought in, just like the one in Kingsburg. When you go to this place, it's like a resort. It's like a state of the art. And George, the operation CEO, We met him, and it's the first facility in California that looks like this. And
I made
and
reservations.
and then what was bizarre, the state of California came down, and then George says, "Avalos, you got to meet the state boys." So I met the state guys to actually fund this. To fund this, state of California fund over $23 million. And the bizarre thing about it, I knew the guys. But in the long run, the facility came out nice. And the reason why, and I told myself at first, I was iffy about it, but then I had to think back, step back. And I told myself, I remember when my father told me when I was younger, he says, son, in life, you cannot run away from problems. You have to solve them. And I know in life out there, there's homeless issues, there's mental issues, there's challenges in people's lives. There's no sense kicking it down the road to the next town. We have to address it as human beings, not just the city of Selma, but like Fresno, actually Kingberg, it was the first to start it. Really, no one knew. You go to that facility, no one knows it exists. It'd be the same thing. You won't know it exists. These people come in from the back. They have, when they leave, they have a program for them. They'll short term, maybe a year or 2 years, and they're gone. There's a doctor on site, psychiatrist working. They'll employ 50 employees, medical employees for the city that'll help grow. And then it's a win situation because we're helping people get off the streets, but we're changing people's lives. You know what I mean? If we're gonna, why kick our problems or other problems down the road for the next people? That's not right. That's not who we are as human beings. We live on planet Earth, and we got to learn to solve these problems together. And this is what life's about. I don't care what we do as far as our how our city grows, but working together, communication is another, getting it done. And that's what we're doing right now as city council, communicating and getting it done. And that's what I got to say. And also I attended the American Legion opening ceremony. Great. I thank the fire and police. They came out. And I thank the citizens that came out. I talked to the veterans that came out, the council people that showed up. It's a great honor in this country, this flag we stand by, and the oath we take in office, who we are in government. If how lucky we are in this country. Other countries are not lucky as we are. We are very fortunate because this country is developed with diversality. We have different cultures in our community, in the valley, in the world. But overall, Selma we have diversity. We have different churches, different denominations, but in real life, we're human beings. We cannot jump off the planet Earth, but we have to learn to understand each other. That's why we have the Sikh parade. We have other parades, other events in our community, March for Jesus. It's all about learning about everybody's culture, and that's what part of life's about, learning about other people's culture. And that's, and also the Day of the Dead. That's another culture in itself. Great opportunity in our community. A lot of the Spanish community. If you go to the cemetery right now at the flowers out there, it's amazing what people, the respects for the dead. We in life, those people that died before us made this town where it's at and who we are to this day. And we got to show respect for the dead, because that's a great honor in our culture and anybody's culture, respect. And also I attended that same night, we had the trunk or treat in Selma, but I attended that. And also we had, at the same time, we had the little casita Cashin having a presentation here in the city hall. I attended that to learn more about their plans of how they're going to present it to the city. And that's all I got to say. But I also thank the staff out there that work for the city and the people that live in Selma and the people that come to our town. I thank them because who they are is they make Selma who we are. And right now, we're getting on the map. We're moving forward. And I thank you, guys.
Thank you. Councilmember Oscara?
After that wonderful discourse by Councilman Avalos, I don't know what else to say. He almost made me cry. I showed up to most of the stuff that he went to. I didn't make it to the to the Dia de los Muertos. I had a previous commitment, but talking to Director Moreno, it was well attended. So thank you, Director, for doing everything. I attended the Tejano Festival. It was well attended also. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra was there. They had over 1,000 people at that event, so it was very nice. I also attended the American Legion. They had their quarterly dinner, which they invited us to. And man, I tell you what, that steak was so good. Hopefully they invite me to the next one. The Crestwood was a beautiful location. And, it was like Jim said, it was like a resort. You look in the rooms and stuff and, they have single, they have doubles. I told Mayor, hey, we should check in, spend a couple of weeks here. But he didn't agree to it. So other than that, I want to congratulate Margie, not just for getting her contract accepted and becoming her new deputy city manager, but also for everything she had done before. I was really impressed with her work ethic, and I was being prepared. Anytime we had a meeting, boy, she gave us more stuff than we needed. And I'm like, who's this lady? Somebody hire her. So other than that, thanks staff, Jerome. Jerome does a great job with development, boy. Anytime you ask him a question on development, like, I don't know where he keeps all the stuff in his brain. I couldn't do that. But Director Moreno, the other Moreno, thank you for making the report easy for me to read because, I'm not an accountant by any means and I don't have any experience in that. So, but when I looked at it, it was pretty much self-explanatory. So thank you. That's all I have.
Tim?
I attended the band festival, which was a very, very nice event. There was so many concerns in regards to, oh, they cut the tree, they took parking lots out and how the band's gonna fit. But I'll tell you, sitting out there and sitting with families from Dinuba that sat right next to us, Dinuba brings their band members are almost, they said at one point they were at 500, now they are like at 300. And there's no problem. One of the larger bands that went through, Dinuba and Reedley, no problem at all. They managed that everybody went through with no problem. So that was a really nice thing to see. I mean, there's some parents that like to, I guess, walk alongside. I don't know why they do that, but I know when I was in the band, my parents didn't walk on the side. They sat and watched all of us go by, but that's okay. I mean, it happens. But I just wanted to mention that, no matter what, they got through it. Just like if you go to a band festival in Reedley, Reedley doesn't always have the wide streets, but they make it work. Just like Fowler does the same thing. They make it work because the bands are used to having to come in and crunch sometimes because not all cities have wide streets. So just wanted to mention that and say how the parents were saying that they just love coming to Selma. And these were Dinuba parents, so that was a really nice compliment. The other thing is Crestwood, again, we're talking a 5-star. I mean, it was amazing, beautiful, beautiful place. And even the the manager director from Kingsburg said this was like 10 times nicer than Kingsbird's. State of the art. So that was great for Selma to get that. Yeah, they did. The other, and I went to the unveiling for the American Legion, and again, just so touching seeing the veterans there, their families that came from all over to see their family members' name on that monument. was just amazing. Some people were in tears, and it just put me in tears because you see these people just so appreciative, and they were just thanking the American Legions folks, telling them, thank you for doing this. You know, it means a lot because that is going to carry on. And it is a place, like the mayor stated, his speech was phenomenal. It's a place where you can go and sit and think about your past and the wonderful memories that were there. And you thank those people because they, you know, they sacrificed their life for us, for our freedom. So we always have to say thank you to our veterans. And it was just a beautiful, I mean, I think Selma has one of the best, if not the best so far, because those are the compliments I received that day, that this is one of the best. So I just want to thank American Legion. They put their heart and soul to make this place one of the best, and it was amazing. So you see a veteran, thank them. Thank them for their service. I attended the Dia de los Muertos, again, another great event. You know, Jose Moreno and their staff, they do an amazing job. Liz, I mean, they get so many people, and that's just another event that Selma has to offer because people came from all over, and I recognize people from other towns, and I'm like, wow, their kids are in these programs that are dancing folklore out there, and they bring their kids to Selma because their cities don't have a folklore dance team. You know, they bring them here, and that's amazing. You know, that shows so much love and commitment that our city provides. And I want to say it again, you know, we're doers. We're doers, and so is all our staff. So I want to thank everybody. And with that, I'm done.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah, all those, I was at those events as well, and the monument was incredible, and we had a couple speakers there who were incredible. The Congressman Jim Costa and Lorenzo Rios, who is the president of the Clovis Memorial. He wouldn't come to Selma if he didn't think we were respecting our veterans. And this is the second time. He came when we dedicated the statues, and he came this time when we dedicated the monument. And just incredibly powerful speeches. But it was the atmosphere that was respectful and solemn, but at the same time, just so reflective. It just makes you reflect on that. There was a veteran that came up and said, man, I went to Washington and I traced the name of, you know, a family member that had died in Vietnam, and I'm getting those same feelings when I'm coming here to Selma. That's amazing. Central D Folklorico sponsor Dia de los Muertos, amazing event. I want to give a huge shout out to our communications director, Moreno. Jose was out there beginning of the day, was out there till, 10 o'clock at night. And after that, had his face painted, didn't even recognize him. I thought was watching Coco or something. And I saw him there, and he's out there shooting everything, talking, coordinating, just an incredible job. And, this was the third year of the event. It was better than ever. And, just talking about this, the Mayor Pro Tem's right on. We've got the folklorico dancers. They don't make a ton of money. These events that we have, these people aren't necessarily rich, but they're rich in character and rich in color and rich in what makes our community a great community. And it's not our bank account balances. It's just who we are, and we get along well as a community, and we get along well with each other with our diversity. And we have these events. I mean, at the last chamber mixer, I think I mentioned this the last meeting, the reciting of the upcoming events in Selma took longer than the mixer itself. I mean, there's a ton of events going on in Selma. It's a good thing. Lastly, I was able to promote Selma on CBS 47. Our comms director came with me on that one, prepared a great list of events coming up in Selma, and I was able to go on TV and broadcast those events. Again, there were some people that said, hey, I heard about the Veterans Monument because I saw you on CBS 47. That's what it's all about, promoting our city, putting our best foot forward and getting people to come to this great, great city that is just such a great place to live and to work in. With that, we'll move on to,
Can I add a comment before you?
sure.
I just want to say thanks to Director Fletcher for providing the bathrooms for the Dia de los Muertos event. People don't believe me that they make a big difference, but I tell you what, those ladies out there, they were all excited because I'm gonna say it again, men that use the bathrooms, we are not the cleanest. So when the women were out there, boy, they were all happy to get in there and the air turns on, they got a mirror. Did you go in there? I went in there, heck yeah, I did. I went to check it out. No, I did not, but I've seen them before. So thank you so much. Also, the Crestwood, I want to add that whoever the caterer was, I tell you what, they put in a big old
Same
spread.
as the veterans.
Yes, very, very, very.
Same with you. All right.
But
moving on
anyways,
to-
that's right.
Can we move on now? Our last oral communications of the evening. This is a time for any member of the public to address the city council regarding any item on the regular meeting agenda over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public should limit their remarks to 3 minutes. All right, come forward.
Teresa Salas. On Thursday, the Fresno Athletic Hall of Fame is having a dinner in Fresno, and they are inducting the Selma baseball teams from 1965 through 68 because they were the state champions or something for all those years in a row, and they're being inducted into the Hall of Fame. One of my cousins was on the team, but anyway, so I just thought that might be something that the council might want to acknowledge them at some point in the future. Also, just because that was a long time ago. That was before all of us, I think. But to acknowledge that they had that accomplishment, and then, like I said, they're now being inducted into the Fresno Athletic Hall of Fame.
Good. Thank you. Sure, go ahead.
When I was in the Community Services Commission, we used to have an Athletic Hall of Fame dinner to recognize a lot of people. Bobby Cox was inducted into Selma Athletic Hall of Fame. Duran, what's the girl's name? Amanda Duran. Andrea Duran, she was inducted too. So there's a lot of important people that were inducted. And I think we need to look at bringing it back because there's a lot of people that need recognition. Yep. And it used to be a very nice dinner. And, we recognized them and inducted them. Okay, now I'm done.
Just want to remind council as well, we're going to walk through the old Selma High School and look at it across the street. It's for sale, and that'll be November 6th at 10 o'clock. Okay. Anybody else, Laurel Communications? Anybody online or on the phone?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
All right. With that, we are adjourned. Everybody have a good evening. Thanks so much for